Oh, okay. All right. Welcome back. We are going, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just take a quick little poll first. Give me a second. Considering we're given, they started to work out. And I started to design it. Here we go. Designing. All right. Oh, let's start with that. Considering you were paired up, you already got assigned your little mini groups. I'm just curious if you had time last night, you know, a couple hours just to talk about the idea, right? So first you have to be like, hey, what do you want to build, partner? And then you have to come up and agree on something, right? Sometimes I can take time. And then there is the starting to design it and use Google Draw for that, okay? If you use Google Draw, then you can Slack the drawing. I can take a look at it when we meet. You can capture it. It's easy to share. It's easy to use. So it'll help later on. And you can even include a link. So that'll be a resource that you can include in your GitHub repo. So you can say, hey, this is something that we planned out and we did the architecture for. I mean, you never know if something's ever going to come up on an interview, right? If they asked about, the question I proposed yesterday was that they may ask, hey, look at this site. The scenario that I gave you was from a student, but I also had read an article where someone said in order to make interviews a bit more kind of interactive, they had asked the person themselves to find a site that they enjoyed, that they loved going to, and then they used that site to initiate that kind of passion towards, hey, can you mock out what you think the React architecture is? Okay, so if they ever asked you that, something that you could follow up with was like, oh yeah, React architecture. That's actually something that we planned out heavily in one of our projects. After we do this, I'd love to show it to you and maybe get some feedback, something like that. Anything that you do, I think can have importance. I don't think it's just, hey, I did it, no one's ever going to ask. If they don't ask, then you show. You make it a point to bring it up, to say that this thing was done, that you find that it was valuable, and you'd love to get another set of eyes from more of an expert point of view. Okay? So keep doing that. So it looks like 8 started. 10 are just talking about it. Awesome. Once again, talking about it's the first step, brainstorming stuff. Once you decide on the project, start mocking it up. I still have the mock-up here. Okay, I'm actually adding to it for today's lecture. I'm going to try to highlight some things that we're going to be doing. Today we're going to be, posting things. So that involves creating. So inside of app, there's going to be a couple of create methods. Inside of form, there's going to be a couple of methods that handle the data that you collect from the form, right? We're going to have to execute on handle change. We're going to have to lift up state and pass it up to app. Okay, and so how are we going to do that? So we'll take a look at these things, and we'll just, once again, try to come back here, record it, maybe color code it so we know that that's just what we did. These are the things that are related to each other. I'm just trying to find a way to maybe give more context to this, so it's just not a slab of like props and things, that they actually have some sort of meaning. Sweet. I also have some advanced kind of React material. So if you're interested in some more advanced content, GA put it together for their React 10-week course. I don't know if it's been updated or not, but it's pretty cool. It's an online system that they use. And it goes into depth with some other concepts that we didn't cover. So if you want more concepts after these lectures, by all means, I'll send it. You can go through it. It's pretty meticulous and like, do this, do this, do this, and then you have the end result. Kind of like what we're doing, right? Follow these steps and the thing works. So let me slack out what we're doing here, right? Get to the next lecture. There was it. Let's go. And boop. I guess I do the bloops a lot. All right. Now the lectures are still in, I didn't move them over to day 5. They're still in day 4. And we're building, once again, of the things that we have left. We have create, update, and delete. That's what we have. And as we work through this, you know, some of the feedback, I read all of the feedback, try to grasp as much of the content as possible, make any little changes. So one of the suggestions is maybe like having some kind of higher level bullet points. The READMEs have everything you need, right? So they clearly explain what to do and the steps to do it, but maybe kind of a higher level overview of them. So I'm taking those READMEs and just kind of breaking them down into the sections as we hit them. So once we set up the form, we can check it off and say we completed that to do. So for the creating process, we are going to set up the form. Right? We have to set it up so we can capture data. Then we have to access form state. So state needs to be inside a form, and we kind of discussed that yesterday. You've seen examples of that. Once we capture the data and we pass it up to the app then needs to make a request, and then we need to update our app state, right? So let me just go back here. Let's take a quick look and see what it is that we would be doing. Just maybe annotate. Can I annotate here? Where's my annotate? Yeah, hey, annotate. So our form is here, right? And they're going to be typing in information. Just move my little annotate thing down here. We're going to have some methods. These methods right here, right? These methods are the ones that we're going to be using to capture the info. So what does, let's see, Justin, what does handle submit? What does handle change do? What do you think handle change is going to be responsible for?
That's going to update state for when you enter text into the form.
I can't hear. I just want to make sure. You guys can hear me though, right? I can't hear. I couldn't hear you, Justin, so I don't know if it's my TV. Hold on a second. Maybe my TV's on mute. Good. Speak again, Justin.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I think maybe my TV was on mute. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's just going to update state to handle the input for your form.
Okay, yeah. So this would update that, right? Task item. And it is a continuous process, right? Every time you type, state gets updated, state gets updated, state gets updated. This little machine inside a form keeps going, and updating state does what? What does it do? Lauren, what does updating state do to our form component? Stay on your toes, everyone. On your toes. Lauren's like, what?
I'm still. What
okay.
again? One more time.
All right. Updating state does what?
It puts the information that the user entered
Okay.
into state, and then puts us in a position to be able to pass it along as props.
Okay. So inside a form, because we're inside a form right now, right? We just type something in, so that executed this little handle change. Handle change immediately goes up here, update state. What's the next thing that happens? State triggers a what? We're back to that statement.
A render.
A re-render, right? Remember yesterday we had this, oh, hold on one second. What just happened there? We had the life cycle methods. I discussed life cycle methods, right? And one of those methods is render. Why does it keep doing that? And one of those things is render, right? And render runs. And what we saw yesterday is before render, let me actually undo that. Before render is what method? So I'm going to put render right here. What lifecycle method comes before render? Anybody recall that?
The constructor.
All right, so the constructor is here. All right. What method comes after the constructor but before render? We used it as part of this right here.
Component did mount, Joe.
Yeah, so there you go. I'm just going to do it abbreviated. Comp did mount. Okay. Once again, render happens, right? The minute state is updated, that causes a re-render. So this render would occur twice. Component did mount will only happen once. That's it. One time. Never happens again unless you refresh the app, refresh the page. That only happens one time. Constructor is really only going to, actually the constructor will update because we're going to be past props into it, and you might have to update state with props, right? You get props, things have to get updated. But render here can update as many times as state or as the component is asked to redo something. I re-render, and if I have all of you nested within me as, you know, my children components, you all re-render. You go through your whole process of what you need to do. So we know that that's what happens. And then handle submit is going to do what? What's that going to do? Emmy, what does handle submit do?
You mean like once you do push submit? Do you just mean the method?
Sure.
It submits the data that you changed.
Okay. Where is that going to go? Because now my data is in here, right? That's where my data is. The user has finished typing out whatever they want, the task. What happens then?
It sends it back to the app.
Okay, yeah. So we send it back up to the app, right? And at that point in time, the app is now going to need to do this because now we're moving on to these. I want this to be red. Let me see. Let me get it. I want red. Yeah. Now we're going to be moving on. Oh, this is so annoying. To these methods. Okay? We're moving on to the updating because now that I have the data, we have to trigger something that is going to do what? I'm going to give the data where? I have my Rails server right here, right? Here's Rails. How am I going to get the data from here to here? What do we use? What's the tool we use to communicate now back and forth between us and the server, right? The server never talks to us. It only responds back to our questions, right? Yeah, I'm not still targeting you, Emmy. Molly, how do we make the request?
We're going to do like a post request to
Okay.
get data back.
Sure. What's the tool that we use to do this thing now? What's our API tool?
It's, yeah, It's we're just doing a fetch request, or is it?
Yeah. So fetch allows us to also post, right?
Yeah.
Fetch is the same thing as, when we did, Ajax, right? It's the same thing here, yada, yada. And then you would have put the method in there and said get, post, delete, update, right? Same thing, okay? Let me get rid of that. So this is what we're doing. So I just kind of want to go through exactly the process that we're doing. Just a little review from yesterday, component did mount, render, like what are these things? So we have context to what we're trying to build today, because what's in red is what we're going to be introducing along with some HTML content. Form really doesn't have any HTML. We have to add that. We have to add the methods. We have a few things that we need to do in order to get this working. Snapchat. All right. I gotta be honest, I like the combination of the Google draw to like formalize things and then just the extra drawing. It's really nice. Cool, so I'm gonna clear everything. Boop. They're all drawings. And we're back to our main thing. Awesome. I have to get out of this. And, all right, here we go. Move this over here. All right. So when we create something, what are we going to do? I'm going to go back here, right? Setting up the form. That's our first thing. I'm going to make sure we follow this. And as we do these things, we'll check them off one at a time. So setting up the form, right? We want to create data. I'm just going to kind of go to setting up the form. That's the key thing that we need to do. So I'm going to, hey, go to the form. And the form really doesn't have anything, but these were just placeholders. And I highly suggest as you build out your app, you build out the structure and you just put placeholders there. Don't struggle with, I'm going to put all the content. I'm going to make the thing look the way I want to. I'm going to style it. Don't do that. Create just the structure. Have those blocks of components. Put some text in there that says, this is the form component. This is the yada, yada component, whatever. If there's methods that need to run those methods. Put console logs in just to be like, thing was clicked, thing was submitted. Tie them together so that the flow works. That's it. It's kind of like doing routes without like adding the controller yet, just guaranteeing that the post route was hit because you could console log post route hit, right? Instead of you spending all your time doing all the routes fully done, then your controller, and then never testing them and being like, why does nothing work? And then you have all this troubleshooting to do, right? So we know that this works. So what we want to do is import into this form, right? Here's our form. We need to put a form, right? So I'm going to just put my form. And inside of it, we need a couple of things, right? We need an input. Okay. We know it's going to be a type, text. Okay. We're going to give it a placeholder, obviously, to like let the person know what they need to do. We're going to say, hey, create a new to-do. And then we close it, right? Easy enough. We have our input. We have our button. Now, here's the thing. Do we need the button? Like the button almost annoys me. If I go here, do you think I really need that button? Who thinks we need the button? So I'm gonna say, okay, we need the button. Must have the button. Yes.
How else would you go boop, Joe?
Okay, here we go. I'd find another way, Aaron, I'm sure. How many think we need the button, that the button is a must for this thing to work? Without the button, the thing no worky. No worky. All right. So it looks like there's some like yes and several no's. And so maybe I should have put a maybe. I don't know. For the no's, why? Owen, why no? Why do you think
it works on submit, so pushing enter is actually a submit as well, so it will work. I don't know if you're asking, should we have it or do we have to have it? But
do we have to? Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to have it now.
Yeah, we do not have to have it. So just understand, when you attach a submit to a form, pressing enter is just as good as pressing a submit button that has no event attached to it. But the event now is really on the form, and the form is looking for any submit type events. Pressing enter, pressing the button, they all trigger a submit, okay? So we don't need it, but we will put it. It does look kind of nice, but we all know, if, you know, I'd rather not go over here and click this, right? If I was like, hey, another task, boom, it's just easier to do that, right? Than hit a button. But we'll add it. Hang on. I'm gonna add the button, right? I'm gonna add the button. I'm gonna close the button, only so I just make sure I get that done. And then, you know, the button's gonna have another type. Because it's a button, we're gonna say it's a submit. Once again, you can say button, be the same thing. Class name is going to be equal to submit button, okay? We're gonna submit the thing. And then it's also inside of this button, we're gonna have a little icon. And this icon is a Font Awesome icon. It's gonna have a class name of FAS FA plus, okay? And then we will close the icon. We close the button. So let me just make sure all my syntax is right. Did I break anything here? It's giving me an error. I don't know if I did something wrong here. Oh, FAS button, button, button. Looks good. I don't see why it's not parsing an unexpected token. So, I don't know. My button doesn't seem to work. I'm not going to struggle trying to figure out my own typos. The typo, so I know it's not the double quotes, single quotes. It just must have been a typo on my part. So here we go. We got our working example of our form. So I just locked it out. There's our form. Okay, I'm going to, you know, make sure that the thing is there, right? I don't know, go back to the app. Here's the other. Oh, they're both the same apps because this app here is the one that we're kind of building out right now. And this app here, see on 3001 and this one's 3002. I'm pulling in the same data. See, this one just says, yes, there's another one. And this one says, yeah, oh, they both say the same thing. All right. So we know that the button works. Cool. All right. Now we need to add, let's go here, right? Accessing, setting up the form. Okay, we're almost finished, right? We did the form, but we need to set up state, accessing form state, right? So I'm going to say, maybe we set up the form yet. Let me say, no, we're not. We still got a bunch of stuff to do. So
Hey,
let's,
Trevor,
yeah.
if you don't mind. I'm trying to get everything all up and running. So I have Postgres and PSQL up. And when I'm trying to do a Rails S, it's like not letting me do that.
Are you inside of the Rails server?
I'm inside of the to-do. Oh, no, I'm not. That's
Yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, if
That's
everything, yeah, that should work for you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just assumed everybody did have it up. Maybe that was a let's get our servers up and running thing. I never turned mine off. I still had them up and running since last night. Is everyone else good too? I just want to make sure. Everyone else has their servers started and everything? No problems? All right. So let's hit it. Let's, inside our form, we have to add state. And state requires constructor, right? Props, super props. Okay. Anybody read that article that I posted about super and yeah, cool. All right, some good information in there. So what are we gonna have here? So state is gonna contain here this task item, right? And completed. What you'll see is that completed is something we're actually gonna send up to up the chain to the app. So I'm gonna say, you know, hey, this dot state is equal to an object and it's task underscore item and completed is false. Okay? Check. It's our constructor. So once again, we have state in two places in our app. So when you're designing out your app, consider the general rule of thumb I'm going to say is this. Try to keep state localized to the components if it's not required. So if I go back to our little drawing here, right? So here's the question. Can this header, can this talk directly to form? Can they have a conversation? Can I be like, hey, I'm header, hey form, I know you're also my sibling, right? Me and you are in the same app. I'd love for us to have a conversation. Sarah, can they talk?
Sorry, Joe, I was not paying attention. I'm still trying to get my thing up and running.
Oh, your server?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the issue?
Oh, no, I just like couldn't remember the steps and then I was doing it in the wrong places. So I'm just I mean, I should be up in like 2 seconds.
All right, we'll come back to you. We're coming back to you though.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go, Matt. Can these two talk to each other?
Children can't talk to each other.
Yeah, there's a no-no there, right? Because React is one way, right? Data gets passed down. You have to go up here to pass data back down, okay? We cannot talk to each other. There is no communication. Everything needs to go up or down, right? So there's a mechanism of controlling the flow of data. Unidirectional data flow. That's a key concept in React, okay? So when you decide where state is, decide if that information needs to communicate with these other things. Do these two need to talk, or does that data need to go there? If it does need to go there, consider placing state somewhere higher, right? So that state can just go down, all right? That's the concept. If data needs to go to multiple components, consider where state to be, unless we're doing this kind of form-esque thing where every time you type, you're triggering state change that triggers a re-render. The last thing we want is to update form with the letter A, and then this thing re-renders, and then this thing re-renders, and then that thing re-renders, right? That's a lot of overhead. React's like, come on, I'm getting tired now. Why don't you just have form hold the state, let form be the single component that renders itself over and over and over again. When you're done, send it up, and then let's do something with it, okay? Clear it out. Bloop.
Hey, Joe, can I just ask a clarifying question?
Sure, yeah, of course.
So if there are multiple states,
yes,
is I guess the secret to success to make sure that the state that's in the app has some kind of key value pair that a different state can be pushing information into?
So if there is state, well, just think down here, if the information, in this particular instance, form does need to collect information and send it back up to app, right? Because app needs to make a decision on like, hey, it's a new thing. I'm the only thing that goes and makes requests for new things. I get the thing back, and then it goes down a task list because I also manage the task list. So I'm a multi-purpose kind of thing, right? If the element itself, the component, needed to do something, but it really didn't need to, like, no one else needed to be aware of it, then it'd be perfectly fine to have state, right? But in an instance like this, we need to get the data back. There should be something up here in state that gets triggered, right? The fact that we update task item, there is no task item key value pair here, right? There's no task item key value pair because the key value pair is going to be handled where? When we send this back up, what do you think in-app is going to handle this? Now remember, I put in red the stuff that we're doing today. So look at the methods here. When I pass app back this little piece of data, right? What is app going to do with it? It's going to make that fetch call, right? Boom, make the fetch call. We get the data back. What does app do in the end? Like, what does app actually update? Of
the arrays, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying that little task item thing that we pass up isn't going to be updated directly into state as its own key value pair, but it's going to be, once it's created on the database and the database sends it back to us, it's going to be added to one of these arrays, right? Obviously the to-do array, because it hasn't been completed yet. You just created the thing. That's what's going to trigger the update. So the fact that we're passing up a piece of information, that piece of information may or may not have been needed to update state directly, as in like, oh, state, here's the task item thing also, right? We didn't have to do that. We passed it up in some methods like, I'm going to make a call with the data that you gave me. I'm going to get the information back. I'm going to update to-do tasks. Updating to-do tasks triggers a re-render, and then task list gets its new things, and tasks get re-rendered as well. Okay? Does that answer the question, Laura?
Yes. I mean,
that was a very hesitant.
I thought it was as simple as the information that we put into the form is going into the arrays.
Oh yeah, but there's a middle process, right?
It goes all the way out to the database and then comes back to the array. So
yeah,
it's still correct. It was just incomplete, but that makes more sense. Thank you.
Got it. Okay. Just want to make sure. Once again, these are all key concepts that you could be, that are going to be key when you're kind of building out your app, as well as, I think, solid interview questions to convey that you understand what's happening, not that you're able to regurgitate a component and be like, do we just need it? All right, well, why do you need it? I don't know, you know, that's because that's what Joe did, right? Go ask Joe. He knows what he's doing. All right. So now that we do this, we have handle, change, and handle submit. Okay. Events, right? We have a change event because we're typing, and we have a handle submit when you, here you go, Aaron, boing, you submit it. All right, so we got to add those methods, right? So I'm going to go add. Here's a handle, change, and handle submit. So let's do a handle submit. Right? I'm going to create the methods and we'll go back and we'll add it. Handle change. Doesn't matter the order, I suppose, right? I think here it's handle change and handle submit. I just flippy-flopped it. No big deal, right? We know that inside of handle submit, right, we're going to have to do something like we need to update state, okay? We need to update task item. Update task item in state, right? Boop, we got this new piece. We update task item. When I update task item, where is that going to be shown? What do we actually need to reconfigure at this point in time later on so that the value in task item is seen someplace? Okay, so here we go. Task item is updated. Now it has what you typed in, one character at a time. Where does that character get viewed? You typed in a character, you captured the character.
The target value or something like that.
Yeah, so we have to send that back down here, right? And there's going to have to be in input, there's going to be a value, right? And that value is probably going to be equal to this dot state, right? Dot task underscore item, right? I just want to tie in. We're going to be putting it in there in just a minute for the intent of sending it back down to the input. And we're going to be doing it, and that's how input knows something has changed, okay? So let's see, console log. Here we're just going to console log. Like I said, always console logs, just to know that the things work. Console log, you know, inside handle submit. So I know, and I'm also going to add one here, handle change, like console log, you know, handle change, okay? Or inside, I'm sorry, inside handle change. Put these little consoles, we'll add the things, make sure that the things work, right? I'm doing a few things here. I'm not actually seeing is my app crashing at all. Nope, looks good. Doesn't look like anything's happened. Awesome. Okay. So let us add something here. So let's attach these. We'll go back and we'll explain these. I want to add them just to make sure that they're clicking. So on the form, we're going to do an on submit, right? On submit should do what? I want to add a submit here. Jose, how do I add the handle submit? How do I do it? Help me out. How?
This dot. Yeah.
Just like that, right? That's what you would think, Jose. I knew it. Okay. So handle submit. And where does the change go? Where would I add the change? So I'm just going to help you out here. I'm going to, hey, look, I got multiple things that I'm probably going to be adding here. And so I like to organize my things, right? Put them on different lines. So what would I write here? Flint, what would I write here? I want to add an on change. What do I write?
You're going to need your value there, aren't you?
So I need on change, right? And then what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Once again, I want to get it so that when you work on your app, this stuff is just like this. Second nature, fluid. You're able to bang it out relatively easy, right? This is the kind of stuff after today, I want you to be able to walk away and be like, I don't need to look at a lecture to know how to attach these events. This should be second nature when you start building out your app, okay? So we have this. Once again, my app didn't break. Everything looks good. Let's test this thing out, right? So if I were to, just gonna make sure this is my app. This is my app, right? If I was to do this, look, I mean, we have other things going like app. Is it inside render, inside to do? Oh, maybe this isn't the one. This could have been the one here. Handle view. Nope. I don't know if I have the right one open. I might actually have opened the same one in 2 windows. So let me go make sure. Does it work for everyone else? You're getting a console log at least? Let me just stop. Make sure I'm in the right one. Instructor, yeah, I am in the right one. And start. Right. Okay. Should, yeah, this is the one that I'm on. So it didn't kick off. I didn't see those unless I didn't save it. But it looks like it should be working. All right, create a new to-do. Okay, this is the one I'm working on because I did create a new to-do, all in lowercase. So my placeholder here is create a new to-do today. If I do that, I go back here, I should see that. So this is the one, right? So handle change didn't work. So I'm gonna take a look. I'm just gonna clear my logs. No, inside handle change, oh, okay, awesome.
Don't you need to bind them?
Ah.
What?
Well, do we need to bind them now? So here's the question, right? I'm gonna get rid of this. If I type in a letter, what do you see? Does it work fine? Does that work completely fine? So I'm just curious. Do we need to bind them at this state of the game?
Technically, no, because at this point you're not accessing this.
Correct. That's where we're going. Like as of right now, remember, sometimes your methods are not going to be running or need to run this. They're going to be passed data. They're going to manipulate the data, and they're going to take that data, maybe pass it to another method that needs to have access to this. So binding isn't a necessity unless you reference the concept of this. If the term this is being referenced in here, then yes, you need the binding, okay? You do need it. I just don't know why it did not submit. I mean, I have the console log and it's working here, but when I submit it, right, I do that, inside change, I submit. Oh, I know why. What happened to my screen? Here we go. Pay close attention. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong place. It's running every time I type, right? What happens when I submit? Pay close attention to the screen. What happened to my screen? Somebody's going to know what to do.
You have to put the event
Yes,
prevent
exactly.
default.
So the thing refreshes, so I never see this console log because the page refreshed. Because the page refreshed, my console logs disappeared also. Okay, so we need to have the event.prevent default there. Okay, with that in place, and we have to pass in the event too. See how React screamed at us? If I remove this parameter here, React screams at us. It's like, hey, you're calling event, but I don't know where event is. That doesn't work. When I do this in a CodePen, it works perfectly fine. I don't even have to pass this in. It works. It knows that there's an event that was passed in. But React is very, very specific. If it's going to use something inside of it, then you need to pass that thing because it doesn't have that context. All right? So now I know if we go here and I do test, boom, 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 submit, handle submit, everything works, right? This is all I'm trying to achieve is that things work. I know it works, and now we can go do the other things, right? Get the basic things down so you can guarantee that everything has a natural flow, everything works, and then we can do it. And here, they're referencing it as E. Doesn't matter. We can reference it as the letter E. We can call it Apple. Doesn't make a difference. The fact that this thing was triggered, it is giving to handle submit the event. That's what it's giving it. The first placeholder is going to be the event. Okay? You can call it E, and you will see it several times in that construct. Because why would I want to type the full word event? It's just more typing, right? So I wouldn't type the full thing, and I know this is, I suppose, going to need it also, handle change, because we have to grab the value. So you can call this whatever you want. Could be EVT, could be E, could be event, whatever. Doesn't matter. It just matters that when you do put the argument in or create the parameter, that's what's referenced inside of the method itself. Okay. So now we have our things and we attach them, right? We just attach them to make sure that they work, right? Awesome. I did mention, and this is what we're going to be adding right here, is that now that we're going to do that, we ultimately are going to need to update our form to accept the task item value. Okay? We now control the inputs. React says you cannot type in anything into this input anymore. Oh, is it? Oh, it is allowing us. All right. I thought it wasn't going to allow us to type in. But React has control over this thing. Okay? So what we're going to do is go down here. And in the inputs, we are going to say here that the value that we want inside is going to be, this dot state dot task item, right? Now if I type in, nothing happens. Like the events kick off, the events are like going crazy, but nothing's being seen there, right? So why is that? Pooja, why is nothing being seen here? I mean, I'm typing like a madman, but nothing's happening. Pooja, help me. Help me, Pooja.
So now you need to set the state.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we are going to set the state here in handle change, right?
Yes.
In handle change is where we're going to go set the state, right? So in change right here is where we would go do it, right? So this is this dot set state task item is equal to the E target value, right? So we can go here into here. I don't need these console logs anymore, right? I know that it works. I don't want to bombard my terminal window with like a million console logs. So I'm going to say this dot set state is equal to task item. And we're going to say E dot target dot value. Okay, now we have that issue, right? Matthew, now we're coming across that issue, right? There's no state, and so this looks pretty solid. And the minute I Oh, snap. What happened? I broke it. Okay. What I want to show you also is a secondary way to do the binding. Okay. You've been doing the binding up here, but if I told you there might be an easier way to do this, you probably believe me because I'm the guy up here. But can anyone explain the difference between? So I just want to kind of explain why it's happening that way. Okay. So I'm just going to open up a new REPL just to convey a concept. Okay. JavaScript. What's the difference between this? And this, to me, would be a solid interview question. I would ask this from any graduate. All right. I'm going to create a function called test. All right. In the console log, this. And I'm going to create a let test2 function equal to a fat arrow. I'm going to console log this. Let's see what happens. I'm going to run the first function. Let's run this after. And I'm going to put in here, this is test. Let's call the function, right? Test. See? Okay, so I'm getting a bunch of stuff here, right? This is test from global. I'm going to try running this one. This may not have been the best environment to do this. I don't think it is the best environment. But I'm going to run this, test2. See, does it give me the same thing? Yeah, it gives me the same thing. All right. But it's different. Do you see this? Take a look at the very top. This says, you know, curly braces global, right? Watch the other one. I'm going to say this is what it says there. And I'll just kind of put it under here as a comment so we know that it's returning, just so that you see that it does return something different. It's not the same thing, right? Oh. And here. Right? And, oh, no, it does return, right? Oh, it is returning the same thing. Okay. I think the REPL act's a little bit different. Can anyone tell me the difference between these two there? I'll just leave it open. Maybe my example isn't the best example. Why? What does a fat arrow lose? What context does a fat arrow lose? Anybody know? I was asked this on an interview. When I went over those interview rounds, they asked me this question. Can you tell me what's the difference between fat arrow and a normal function?
Doesn't it lose scope?
It loses scope. Okay. It does lose scope. So explain that further. What scope is it kind of inheriting at this point in time?
It's going to inherit the scope from above it. So
yeah.
From function test.
So in the end, functions in this context lose their sense of this. They don't have a sense of this. They have to go up to find a sense of this. Functions like this. This particular REPL isn't doing what I wanted it to do. Functions like this can hold on to a sense of this. They can have their own sense. This bleeds out of a fat arrow. And I'm going down this road for a reason. This bleeds out of a fat arrow. So if I bleed out of the fat arrow and this I'm looking for is right above me, then maybe I can use this inside of a fat arrow and grab the context of this. I know, pretty deep, right? All right. Where I'm going is there's another way to write this where we can use fat arrows to create our methods, and we don't need to bind. Okay? That's kind of where I'm going with this. So this handles, let's try this. This handle change, right? I'm going to change this up just a little bit. Handle change is going to be equal to color-coded change, right? This change, this change. It's going to be equal to that, and I'm turning it into a fat arrow. Just turned it into a fat arrow. That's all I did. The fat arrow version of this method. Because it's fat arrow, it can't hold on to this. So where does it go to find this? Right? Ryan, where does it go to find this?
should go up to the class.
Correct, right? And it's the class that has its context of this that it's looking for anyway, right? If that's the case, let's just take a look, right? Let me get out of this REPL. REPL didn't do me justice today. Handle change, right? Boom, 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 blah, 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 blah. Do I need to do anything? Is there binding needed right now? No, I don't need to bind, okay? This is a secondary way of kind of binding where you leverage the natural process of what fat arrow does of allowing this to bleed out. And if it bleeds out, it's going to find the this I'm looking for. And so it does find the this I'm looking for, right? Because this seems to work, right? Another test, right? I got rid of the console log so I don't see it, but if I submit it, everything seems to work, right? Cool. Go ahead and do it with handle submit. Turn handle submit into a fat arrow for me. Make sure it works. I'm going to give you a moment. Don't watch me do it. Do it. I'll give you like a minute. It's only going to take a minute. But turn handle submit into a fat arrow. Okay. I'll go do it now. So just know that you may be asked in regards to React to like, hey, explain what's going on here. They may show you a component. I had to do that. They asked me to look at a component and explain everything that was happening. Go from the very top to the very bottom. And I had to explain everything. Well, we're importing React. Component is doing, this is doing object destructuring. Oh, we're, creating a class. We're inheriting component. Constructor is required so that we can accept parameters and store those things. Super is calling, like, you had to have that speech down pat, okay? And then when you get to here, I don't recall if they had asked fat arrows here. Once again, if it was fat arrow, I could have said, oh yeah, they decided to use fat arrows, so we didn't have to do binding. Just a better way of doing it. I would have done that. One of the things they even asked me to do was to look at a component and refactor it for more efficiencies, okay? So if I did see binding up here, right, I could have gone down here and say, hey, we could just do this and it'll bind it. And we don't need the binding because we just need it to have a concept of this, okay? Sweet. So now that we're here, this dot set state, that works. That's perfectly fine. We don't really have to do much more with that, okay? Now we have to do what we need to do, a handle change, right? Now there's also, I don't think we necessarily need it. I don't know, maybe it's more than what we need, but we're going to include a clear form method. And if I include a clear form method, that's because we want to clear the form after it's been submitted, right? We need to take control over this input now. The input is all ours, and we want to remove the previous text. So in the end, we're going to need to run this clear form. So I'm just going to say, clear form, and we could do, we could do the same thing. Oh, come on now. Clear form is equal to, could be fat arrows, right? Just changing it up a little bit. It's not how it's in the lecture. So if you're following the lecture to the T, you're going to do it as the old method way. I'm changing it up just a little bit to give you another way to do things. And so in the form, we have to say, hey, this dot set state, and we're going to say task item is nothing, right? Okay. And then once it's submitted, right, we still have to update app, but app hasn't passed down the things that it needs to pass to us, so we really don't have that. So I'm going to go here and say clear form or this dot clear form, right? That should work.
Since you're already in a set state or should be in some kind of set state and handle submit, why wouldn't you just do this dot state or task item as an empty string?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You could, like, I kind of prefaced this by saying, Jeremy, that I probably wouldn't have created a separate clear form thing, right?
Right.
If I'm already in handle submit, I'm going to be executing some sort of method sent from the parent, some sort of this.props.pass me up your thing method. And then I would have ran this.setState in there. Like that's probably how I would have gone back and written this. I just think, you know, it's a bit not over the top. It's just more stuff, another method just to clear the state. It's the concept of kind of separations of concerns. Write the code so that a thing is done very specifically by a method, function, whatnot. Okay. And so I'm just going to test, boom, works. Test again, boom, works. Just making sure it works, right? Cool. We're good so far? All right. Not really pasting any of the code. Code is right there. I'm trying to take it as slow as possible, ask questions so that everyone has the opportunity to kind of catch up. I don't think anyone should have gotten lost at this point with the amount of lines of code we have. If you're hitting errors, obviously, that might slow you down. Okay, so let's take this to the next thing. Hey, oh, look at this. Guess what we just did? Set up the form. Look, Lauren, boom, done. We got it done. So now, did it? Oh, it doesn't work yet. Snap. Works over here in this one. All right. We haven't added that functionality yet. So in the other app, it does. I just want to get it out of here. Should get the same data. Cool. We did the form. Form's all set up. Now we're going to accessing form state. That's kind of what we're at now. Okay. So where do we need to do this? I see a handle create task. Where should handle create task be running? Where should that happen? Handle create task should be where? So I'm going to go back to you, Sarah. You still owe me an answer.
In app.js.
Correct. So I'm going to go back to our diagram of app.js. And here I put the methods that we're going to be creating in there. Handle create task. And this will post first. It'll make a post. So maybe I'll do this. Post first using fetch. Then it updates to do tasks. Right? Why do you think that's the process? Why do you think I post first and then I update to do tasks? Why wouldn't I just update to do tasks and then post to the database? Any ideas?
When you update and then post, you're going to update all the old stuff, and it's not going to have the new one that you just made in there.
Well, I mean, I have a new thing, and if I push that new thing immediately into do tasks, it would be there, right? And you would see it on the site, correct? It wouldn't yet be in the database if I didn't post it first. I'm just trying to see if you understand the logic why we should post it first before updating the database. Why do you think that logic should happen? That's an important process.
Well, the data is basically fake unless it's in your database.
Correct, right? And what could potentially happen then, Flint, if we showed the user seemingly that there's a new task, but when we made our post, we had issues with the database?
It's not going to be a row representation of your data.
Correct, right? That's the reason why you post first. We post to guarantee that that thing now is in the database. Then the database says, yes, the thing is in there. We have the thing. Then we can show the user the thing. Otherwise, the user should get an error message like, unable to connect to database at this time, try again, right? We've all seen this happen. Server unavailable, you try to submit something, it won't submit it. It's not gonna be like, submitted, and then I'll try to connect to the database, right? No, you wanna guarantee the success of your post before the user sees the thing. So that's important, okay? And that's why we have here handle create task. That's gonna be a method in app, and handle update, because update is then going to update the to-do. So this, I'm just gonna put here, I didn't finish writing. Updates the to-do tasks array. Okay? Oh no, this does something else here. Update array, because I got it here, updates the to-do task. So let me just see what we're doing with this. I forgot what this method's gonna be doing. So let's go back here and take a look, okay? So in app, we have the necessity to create this handle create method, right?
Hey, Joe, real quick.
Yeah.
I'm getting an error of prevent default is not a function.
So if you're getting an error, prevent default is not a function, my guess is this. Did you create it like this as a fat arrow?
No, I left it how you had it originally with the event.
Okay. So if you did it like this, I'm going to go back to what you did. If I get rid of this E right here, it could error out also. I'm just going to see if I can replicate your error. No, so this just errors out immediately. What I think is happening, Aaron, is do you have here, if this was the old way of doing it, if I did it the old way, E, does it look just like that?
Well, I have event still written. I have event and event.prevent default.
Right, so
oh, you know what? I figured it out. It's
Yeah.
a typo.
Okay. Sweet. Not sweet on the typo, but sweet you figured it out. All right. Let's go back here. So we got to go to app. So I'm going to go to app. Back in the app, and we have all these methods already, right? So let's add something. I'm going to just kind of put the new methods up here, right? I'm going to maybe say adding new items area, right? Adding, maybe, I don't know, updating new items area. And this is where we'll put all our items methods, right? Just a place when we look at it, we can be like, all right, let me see, is React going to complain? Sometimes when you put comments in different places, they break inside of the app. All right, so we're here. So we need to create that method, right? What was that method? That method was handle create task, and it looks like it's going to take a task. So handle create task takes in a task, and then I'm just going to console log, hey, inside handle create task, and give it a task. That's all. Haven't passed it, haven't done anything. In the end, we may even come back to our app to refactor so that we don't have to do a ton of binding. I collapsed my constructor, by the way. I just collapsed it to like save space. But we see all the binding here. It's a lot of work, a lot of binding. Don't really want to do all that binding. We'll leave it like this for now. Then we can come back and you get practice doing the conversion later. So we have this handle create task. Now it's not doing anything. We need to get it from there and we need to pass it down to our form, and we do that inside of render, right? So the form needs this method, okay? So our form, let's move this over a little bit. So I'm in the form and I'm gonna add this method, this handle create task is equal to this dot handle create task, right? That's all we want to do. We're testing that things click. That's all. Click, click, you get it. Then we can maybe pass the data. At this point in time, we're passing this down. Well, actually, the method already has here a placeholder, so when this method gets executed, if it's passed the value, that value will then be passed into this little placeholder here, okay? Let's test it out, right? Inside of form, right? So this is all we did. All I did was add this little handle create task method and create the method itself, okay? Gonna make sure everything looks good, nothing's broken, everything still works, right? Just want to make sure. It's a good process to kind of go through and like test a few things in the app that you didn't break. Sometimes, you know, you do one thing here and everything seems to be working, but you go someplace else now and that thing that you did broke the other thing, but you didn't notice that other thing for 3 hours later because it wasn't relevant at the moment, okay? So we have the form. All right, so let's go into form. Now moving down into form, okay? And so form needs a particular prop, right? Inside of the handle submit, it is meant to call that method to pass the data, right? So I'm just going to get rid of the console log. I do not need the console logs anymore. Once I know that they work, I don't need them. Here we're going to say, I'll just get rid of this comment too. We don't really need that comment either. All right, cool. So in here, we're going to say this dot props dot handle create task this dot state. We're passing the whole thing of state. We're passing it all. So if I pass up the whole thing of state, what am I actually passing? CJ, what am I passing up to the parent? I'm the parent. You just passed me state. What do I have? What's in my hands? What's in these hands?
You basically have what would be like a new item. So you have the task item string and you have a completed Boolean.
Okay. And that's inside of what? Am I just passing up those as single individual things, or are they packaged for delivery as what?
They should, if you're passing the state, they should just be an item then. Or sorry, an object is the word.
Yeah, they're an object, right? Because state is an object, props is an object. So I'm taking the whole object and I'm passing it up. The concept of like passing the whole object up is something that you can do in reverse. Sometimes instead of like doing, you know, I'm going to pass down 3 properties to a thing and be like, this dot state dot name is equal to, you know, or I'm sorry, this dot name is equal to this dot state dot name, age is equal to this dot state dot age. Maybe I can just pass down the whole object and then let the child component elicit the values out of it, right? Instead of having like 3 things there that I have to manually type, just pass the whole thing and allow the child object, the child component, to elicit those things out of it, okay? We're doing the opposite. We're taking the whole thing and we're sending it up, okay? So in setting up single values, instead of having this create task set up to actually set up or send a task item and a completed as 2 separate arguments, we're sending it as one thing. You're going to see that a lot in functions. When people create functions and pass things around between functions, sometimes the parameter, the argument that they create, is to accept an object. And inside of the function elicits the values outside of the objects instead of having multiple parameters being passed in. You just pass in one thing and then the function elicits those values out as needed, okay? So we'll just test this out. Give it a test. I think we're going to test it out and then we'll take a break. So if we do test, all right, here we go. Inside handle create task. That's happening on the app. The data is inside of the app. We got it from here, and what's the concept called when we're passing this data up? What do we call that? The general overall concept.
Lifting state.
Yes, lifting state. So we just lifted state up, okay? Cool. So why don't we take a break? It's 11 o'clock, 11:08. Why don't we take a break, 11, come back at 11:18, and then we will continue. If you had any issues, let me know, and I'll help out, okay?
Help.
All right.
SOS.
All right, let me just put a break time, come back at 11:18. All right. Boom, boom. What do you got? I'm going to stop sharing. Aaron, share your screen, and let's get you.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Let's find out.
Let us find out.
Okay, so right now
what's the debugger? What are you doing with this thing?
I don't know where that is. Everyone keeps asking that. I did not put it in there.
Okay.
It just magically put itself in there somehow.
That's
so,
I love that. It just magically put itself in there.
I don't even honestly remember how to do a debugger. So to be honest, if it found its way in there, it was not me.
Okay, so let's see what happened. What's the error? Because all I saw was debuggers. Okay, so I got this .props.handle is not a function. So that tells me that you did not pass down handle create task. Go to the app and go to the form. Go to render. No. Go inside render. All the way down to render. Oh, you didn't pass it down.
I didn't even know we were here. You lost me at some point. That's probably why.
Okay. So take a look at the message because I really want you to kind of understand what's happening. Look at the message.
Yep.
Why would something not be a function? And give me the most obvious answer why something would not be a function.
Because it's not defined.
Okay. Well, because it's not a function, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I kind of meant. But
and I'm like, this napkin isn't a book, right? So we know that this thing isn't what it is. All right. I'm just saying, if you get an error message like this, I just think it's key. If you get an error message where it's like this dot something is not a function, then it can't see that it's a function. And there's only a couple of reasons why that's going to be the case. One, you could have mistyped it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
If it's mistyped, then you're trying to call something that's not the thing you're trying to call. Then you're going to get the other thing is that you didn't pass the thing in. Those are the two things. I just want to kind of with messages like this, these are things I want to teach you how to follow the process back up. There's only two ways to fix this essentially right now, and that's a misspelling or it wasn't passed.
Gotcha. And I got another question because before this error, I had gotten that this.clearForm was not a function. So is it the same issue? They both have to be defined here?
Nope, go into form. You have clear form there, and clear form looks good, so it should work. Maybe you didn't create clear form. I don't know. At the time, maybe you were doing the old handle submit the old way. Remember you said, I'm doing it the old way.
Yeah.
All right, if you did it the old way, then the context of this isn't understood unless you bind.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So then it should work after I changed it. Okay, so
yeah. So pass it down. Go to app, and I want you to go to form, and I want you to pass the thing down.
What is that? What do we say? Create
handle
create.
Handle create is equal to curly braces. Yeah, this. There you go. No, not state. That's not in state.
Props.
No, it's not props.
Is it just then that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look at the methods under it. Look at task list. Take a look at task list and look at line 73.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I see it.
Okay. Now you're working. Now, once again, we didn't add any.
See that's what keeps happening when I hit the button.
Paused on exception. So I think that at some point in time, so it's really easy to add debuggers by accident. Okay. The only way to get out of the debugger right now is we have to kind of figure out what it is. Run the code again. Just why does it go back to that?
That's the error that it's still getting apparently.
This.props.handle create. All right. All right. I want you to get out of developer tools. Refresh the page. All right, do it again. Don't click on the button. Just do that and hit enter. All right. So go back. I'm thinking maybe handle create task. This.props. Maybe you did not handle create task. That looks good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go back up to the method. I want to make sure that the method inside of app is all copacetic. Go back up to it.
And where? Say that again?
In app. Go all the way up. Yeah, go up. Go up to that. Make sure that the method is there. That it's.
Wait, Aaron, I think you just didn't save form.js.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Try it again. Nope. All right, so let's go back in.
So does that need to be binded then?
No, it should have worked the way it is. I don't think you need to bind it because the way you wrote it in. Oh no, we're in app. Go show me that function. Show me the handle create task function in app. In app. In app. All right, so handle create task. It looks good. I mean, it looks, yeah, that looks fine to me. All right, so I'm gonna just say handle create task and inform. All right, go back to form. So I'm gonna just do it one more time. Go back to form.
Is it because there's nothing in there? No, right?
Handle create task is in your form, so it shouldn't be in props.
Oh, that's right. It's not a method there. Get rid of that. You're not adding a form there. You're doing it inside of handle submits, right? That's it. Handle create task on line 15 is what you should be running. I want to do it again. No. What's going on, man? This dot handle creates. Oh, here we go. Go back. I think. Hang on. Are you saying something, Jared, I'm not saying?
Yeah, it was because handle create task was in form.js, but you're calling it as this.props.handle create task.
Okay.
So put it back in. Control Z so that you have handle create task. Save. And then change inside of handle submit line 15. It says this.props.handle create task, but where is handle create task?
Oh, but here's the thing, Jericho. There is no handle create task in form.
It's right there, line 21.
No, it's there, but it's not in the final build.
Okay, so then should this be in app.js?
Yeah, so handle create task is being passed down. That's what.
Okay, then move that into app.js, because do you have handle create task in app.js or not?
No.
Then yeah, move that into app.js.
Oh, I thought we did say it. Go up. Did you not create it?
Not in app.js, no.
Oh, then I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, you need to have it here in app.js. That's right. There you go.
Okay, so then it doesn't need to be in the form.
So it doesn't need to be in the form. Get rid of it in the form. All right. We should work now. I think it should work. I don't not. Oh, you won't get any errors. Try. All right. That's good because we didn't do anything yet to send it.
Right. As long as there's no errors.
Sweet.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. We are back in action.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
We've been working out of to-do development database.
Yeah.
If we were to deploy this on Heroku, would that still be accessing the database to do development?
Yes, and there is some documentation in today's instructor notes on deployment to Heroku.
Okay.
Which is a really easy setup.
Just to clarify, though, it won't access to-do development that's on your local computer. It'll access the to-do development, well, not development, but the database on Heroku.
Yeah.
So your Heroku and your local database are going to be completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That was the same process with Node and Express. Like, your data doesn't get pushed up. You have to repopulate stuff in Heroku.
Didn't you have to like create a function that like uploaded the information and then pushed up that information to Heroku, and then you would stop it and erase the code and then push it up again, if you know what I'm saying?
I don't know about the database. I think there's some like from what I remember with like Node and Express, there was like a Postgres tool that possibly allowed you to like push up some stuff and sync. But by default, when you push it up, it creates the database from scratch again. And that's it. You would have to populate it with mock data. And there is a command in the lecture how to do that. It's really short. Push it up, do this, do this, do this. And you'd be all set with Heroku for Rails. Sweet. All right, so let's see what we got here. Woo, fetch. Post with fetch. Now we're on to the post with fetch, right? So it's going to go back to our diagram here. We just did this. You know, we added the whole handle create. We passed that down. It sent us the information. Now we have the data, right? And I put it here as props because this, you know, I should have done this. This is red too because that's part of kind of what we're doing today also, right? This is part of the handle thing as well. Anything that's in red right now was part of this creating the thing process in the form, in the app, and then what's passed down to form as a prop, okay? So we're still in handle create task, and in handle create task, we're going to need to, not console log, right? Because that's not gonna do anything for us. We need to create our fetch call. So I'm gonna go into handle create task. Now, we already know that this console logged and I get the thing, right? I've confirmed it. I don't need the console log. Console log here is, you know, extra redundant. What we do now need is to make our fetch call, okay? So we make a fetch call, fetch, right? Some URL, I'm just gonna create the structure, some URL, and then we're gonna do some stuff, right? And then ultimately, after we make the fetch, oh, I'm sorry, here. It was a callback. I wrote it wrong. Boom, boom, right? We're gonna do some stuff in here, and then we're gonna have a then afterwards, right? And then there'll be a then do something, right? And then there'll be another then to do something, okay? So that's our kind of basic structure. What we wanna do is tell fetch what the URL is. And the URL is going to be HTTP at this point in time, HTTP, local host, right? 3000, that's what Rails is listening on tasks, okay? We're posting to tasks, okay? Comma. We're posting to tasks and we're going to be sending it an object. Okay, and this object now is going to have some information. So some of that information is like, hey, what is the body? What is the message that you want to send here? Okay, and the body is this, JSON.stringify. You were saying data, but this isn't going to be data. This is going to be task, correct? Is that what we're sending? What is this JSON stringify doing? Besides, you know, kind of me discussing it the last 2 days, just like to see if anyone knows why we are incorporating
So is it doing the opposite of what's happening when we do our GET request?
Yes.
Like it's converting it back into the string?
Yeah. So what it's doing here is converting it into a string of text, right? That's what it's doing. Okay. So this is, I'm going to go down here because this was just an example of a post. I'm going to go down here because this is really what we're creating, right? The minute I just saw put, I was like, that's not what we're doing. We're doing post. Okay. So in handle create task here, we have our body. This is what we're sending and we're stringifying it, right? The best communication between two servers is when they send them as strings of text. Strings of text are more efficient. We're going to send it as a string of text. And then we have to tell it, hey, what is the method that you want this, communication to have? Well, I want it to be a post. So we're going to, cool. I want to post that data. Now, with Fetch is free, right? And Fetch is, hey, here's Fetch. You can use it. You don't have to install anything. But Fetch also requires just a little bit more overhead to kind of set up sometimes. And so here we actually have to say, hey, I have to tell you what the headers are going to be. And the headers are, hey, accept. What do you accept? Well, I'm going to accept application JSON. Also going to accept text plain and star / star. Where did we see application JSON? Do you remember where you might have seen that before? Does that ring a bell? Where was that?
Postman.
Postman, right? When you did Postman, you did application JSON, raw text, application JSON. All right. And then we're going to say the content type. What's the content type? Content type. And that's going to be application JSON. Okay? So the accept is kind of like, this is what we're trying to do right now is come up with an agreement between us and the server saying, hey, server, this is the stuff that I accept. Because what is the server going to do ultimately? When I send them the data, what do you think the server is going to do? Probably send me something back maybe, right? And if the server is going to send me something back, shouldn't there be some sort of agreement between us about what I can and cannot accept, right? Remember, the servers can communicate with many, many, many different types of platforms, many different types of data files. Some servers can send back gzip files and zip files, and other times the clients are like, I don't know what to do with gzip. I never heard of that. I only know what to do with zip files. So if you're going to send me something, you have to send it as a zip, right? So the headers allow them to kind of establish some parameters of communication. We both are speaking HTTP, but I can only accept this kind of stuff. And the server's like, all right, well, I can do this too. I'll find out what the agreement is between us and we'll do it. And the content type is like, I'm sending you application JSON and I can accept application JSON in return. That's really what we're saying, okay? So we should have sent it. We should have posted it at this point in time. This then, right, I'm going to say created task, fat arrow, is the response. I'm going to get a response, okay? We could return created task.json. And so what's happening with .json? Jacob, what is .json doing?
Talking to the server, getting the information.
Good. You're going to ask Lauren to help you out because I know she knows what it is. Go ahead. Phone Lauren and ask Lauren. Lauren, can you help him? What is .json doing?
It's converting it out of a string into an object.
Bingo. Stringifies it, exactly what it says. JSON here is parsing it. That's what it is. Parsing is converting it from. So .json is parsing, okay? And that's kind of synonymous with JSON.parse.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
BT Dubs, your return is spelled wrong.
Oh, okay. Return. Sweet. Thank you. If I was to write this, I don't know. I probably wouldn't write it like this. I probably, instead of adding the return keyword and going to another line, this could have been done a bit more basic. We could have possibly done it just using fat arrows. Since it's one line, we could have done that. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of this and put that there. Okay, why can we do it like this without the curly braces? Anybody know?
Maybe because it's just one thing.
Yeah, it's one line. It's one line of code. You don't need the curly braces. If I go to another line and I have multiple lines of code, then I do. So in this instance, I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to add 2 curly braces and the return keyword, because now I have to type out 8 additional characters, and I don't want to type out anything more than what I need to type out, right? I'm just moving the dot then there because we still need to do something, right? We've gotten the data back, we've converted it, and now we need to do something with it, right? So I'm going to say, hey, JData, I think that's what we called it the last time. Now I'm going to do the curly braces because I have multiple lines of code that I need to execute. Curly braces are required when there are multiple lines. And what do you think we have to do? What do we got to do? John, what do we got to do?
Fetch all your tasks, like reload the list.
So ultimately we do. That's going to, reloading the list will happen when what? When we do what? Reloading the list will happen after we do something here. Okay?
Oh, don't we have to
I'm just asking conceptually, what do we need to do? Go ahead.
Are you wanting to check that there is JData?
Sure.
Or
Right,
check that the task has been created before you actually fetch tasks? Is that what you're trying to convey?
Yeah, exactly. So we would need to somehow update state, right? Remember the whole process was go to the server, a Rails server, get the thing, make sure the thing works. If we are in here, if this actually kicks off, we're successful, are we not? If we're not successful, we would have to do a catch, right? It would go inside a catch. Error, and then we just say console log error, okay? These 2 promises will get run if we are successful. If we are not successful, the catch runs, okay? So what we're saying is, if it's successful, these are going to run. If they run, that means we take the data, we parse it back into an object, we then pass it down for something else to work with, and then we need to update state at this point in time, right? Now, there is here a few things that we can run to do that. So we're going to need to do 2 things. So we need to update the array, okay? And then the question is like, hey, we got to update the to-do tasks array, and we are going to handle the view and change it to be to-dos so that when you do add something, we don't have to, but say I went to complete it and I was like, another thing, what happened? I'm in completed right now, and I'm going to do this. Show that again, Joe. What happened? I'm in completed, and then I go where?
It renders the to-do list again.
Exactly. And from our logic, what triggers the change in our views in order to go from completed to to-do? What's the thing that does that?
Handle view.
Correct. And current view, right? Current view is the thing that is passed down to header. It's passed down to our task list. It's passed down to keep track of your current view. And it only makes sense that kind of like if you happen to be in completed and you typed in a new to-do, you probably want to go to the to-dos, right? There's just somebody's putting intuitive logic there, okay? So I'm just trying to stress what you're seeing and how we can tie it into what we need to do now, right? So in here, we're going to have to call two things, okay? We're going to have to call this dot update array, which we're going to have to create. It's not created yet. And we're going to pass it to JData. And we're going to say to do tasks. Okay, we're going to tell it what array here we want to push the thing into. Okay. The fact that I see update array here and it's taking in data and it's taking in to do tasks, right? In this instance, we know that the thing should just go to do, right? To do tasks. Do we all agree to that? You just created it. How could it be completed? Doesn't make any sense that the thing could magically complete itself. So why would we create an array that takes in the data and it takes in the name of the array that we want to update? What's the intent of putting in this, a second parameter?
Reusability.
Okay, good. And in what intent? What else would that parameter be in the construct of our app?
It could be the completed tasks versus the to-do tasks.
Bingo. So what we're doing is we're creating a method that is reusable, right? That if somebody completes something, we can use update array to take the thing and then push it into completed tasks, right? It's a multi-purpose thing now. That's why it has this second parameter here. So when you see something, you just have to ask yourself, well, it makes sense why it's taking in the data, but why is it telling it to do tasks, right? If the thing was just going to do one thing, you would only need to give it the piece of data and it would know to hit to do tasks. But this is going to do two things for us. All right, the other thing we're just going to add here is this dot handle view. And we're going to say go to to-dos, right? So we can test this out. I only added these two little methods here, and I'm just going to do this. For right now, I'm just going to comment out the update array because it hasn't been created. It might trip up things. I just want to see that the view changes. That's all I want. If the view changes, we know things are working, right? Because we have a handle view. We don't have a handle array yet. I want to make sure that this process works and at least it changes the view. So I'm going to go back to this app, right? This is a refresh. We got a bunch of those things down here, right? Here's a test. Test that post is working just fine. Boom. Okay. Oh, I've got to go to completed. I didn't go to completed. Another test. And it did not go. It didn't take us to completed. Just going to go here. Don't. So I'm getting this. See what I'm getting? I'm going to get rid of my errors. I'm going to test it again. What's happening? I'm getting two. I'm getting this done.
Something's wrong with the post method.
Yeah, either something's wrong with post or the server is having an internal error. It's not doing it. I'm also getting this type error handle view is not a function. Let me see, that's in my app. So maybe, oh, snap. You know what's happening? Well, one, it's erroring. I'm getting this error. So if I say this is error, I'm getting this error. Guaranteed, if I go back here and I try to post something, go to complete and test, let me see, test, I'm getting the error, right? So we're not posting at some point in time, okay? So handle create task is being tripped up and it's not posting. But I'm also getting this handle view. So I wonder if it's the handle view that's causing the issue. I think it's the handle view.
I think it's the comments.
You think it's these comments?
Yeah, I've run into that before.
Okay, so I'll get rid of them.
Or maybe on line 31, you have header while the notes have headers. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I got headers. Maybe that's it. Let's take a look. Completed. Test. Oh, that was it. Thank you. Thanks, Pooja. I'm just going to make sure. I'm going to test it out again. I find like just a tiny little thing like that trips it up, right? This is kind of hard to like troubleshoot at that point in time, right? Now you have to literally go back and be like, I don't know, did I not bind something? Is it a binding thing? What's going on? Is it the server? Am I going to go to like Rails and like check the server, open up Postman and start doing it? Or just take a look. Sometimes it's just a little tiny typo like that. It works now, right? I go to completed, I do anything. It should take me back to to-dos, but I don't really have any to-dos. Here we go. Here's my to-dos. If I go to completed. So something's happened when I click completed. It's not sending the other things down. But that's fine.
Is there any particular reason why, like, when we first get to the page, it shows that there's stuff in each list, but then as soon as you click on them, it clears everything out?
Yeah, because
of line 47 and 48 in handle view.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because we're clearing them out immediately. Okay. So let's resolve this. Now we got our data, and I did comment out the this dot update array, right? J data to do tasks, right? And so that needs to be created, right? We need to create that. Okay. So I'm gonna, hey, I think we did this. Oh yeah, so these aren't accessible here. Let me just refresh this. We accessed our data, right? We're making the post request, right? We made the post request. I think we're about up to updating state right now, okay? And that's gonna complete our whole creating process. So let's go here, this dot set state. We're going to need to set state, right? So we're gonna create our update array and then do something with that update array, right? So I'm here, I think I'm just gonna do this, right? Update array. So I'm gonna keep in here because all these methods right now are all the old way of doing the methods, not the fat arrow. I'm gonna keep that consistent. If I'm gonna do fat arrows, I'm gonna do all fat arrows. I'm not gonna do one method fat arrow and another method the other way. Otherwise it's gonna get confusing. So I'm gonna say update array, right? It's gonna take in task and it's gonna take in an array. And then we are gonna do something with it, okay? So things are gonna look a little bit differently now, okay? We're gonna see this new kind of keyword called previous state, okay? So React is well aware that you might need to update something in state, but you shouldn't go this.state.array.push something new, right? Because then you're mutating state itself and you're not going through set state. So here, what we want to do is say this.set state, okay, cool. It takes in a callback, so this is previous state, and we're gonna do something in here, okay? So previous state is the version of state previous. We can mutate that as much as we want. I can take previous state dot to do tasks dot push and push something in there, and I'm not mutating state. That's very similar to this. Do you remember the concept that we did? If I wanted to create a backup of the array, remember I did something like let new array equal to this dot state dot to do, what is it, to do tasks, right? Dot what? What was the method, the array method that would allow me to return all the elements and create a copy of the array? Anybody remember?
That's slice.
Slice, right? I'm not doing this. We're not doing this. I'm showing you. There was dot slice and dot splice we discussed the last time, okay? Two methods you should get familiar with. Slice creates a duplicate copy. Sometimes people use this duplicate copy. Sometimes people decide to use previous state. You're gonna see them both used, Okay, this creates a duplicate copy. I can push the thing in and then just reset state to the new array. That would have worked just fine. But we're introducing this concept of previous state. It's the previous version of state, so you're not mutating state directly. So here we're going to say prev state, the array that we're looking for here, dot push, and we're going to push in the task. Okay? When we do this, we are then going to return the array, and that's the array name, right? This array name right now, right? So if I was just to say, hey, update array, right now would be executed with some sort of object that's being passed in, task underscore item, you know, new something, right? And it has the other completed thing too also, right? And then it's also being passed in to do tasks, right? This is what this update array method will be executed with. It's going to be passed an object, and it's going to be passed this. This array name is that. So inside of this, when we see array like this, it's going to reference this name. We see the array like this, it's referencing that name, okay? And so in here, we're going to say prev state array, okay? And I'm seeing this error, so let me see why I'm seeing the error.
No, you misspelled state. You have two G's.
Look at that. Prev state with only one E also, Iris. Just saying. All right.
You got me with that one because I really thought you were trying to put in something new.
No. I do all sorts of strange things sometimes. All right. This thing here. So, what is prev state? What is that? Kind of explained it. Just want to see if anybody could like regurgitate it back to me what previous state is.
Previous state's like a made-up variable that you're making, and you're saying that previous state is our old array of tasks. And then what you're wanting to do is push in our new task to that old previous array of tasks.
Correct. So prev state is a copy of state. The previous version of state. It's a copy of it. Okay? And with it, we can go and, since prev state is a copy of state, what data type is it? An object. And because it's an object, I can get a key from it. This is the object. I give it the variable name, and I use brackets with no strings because it would treat it as a literal string of text versus enumerate the name of it. So what's happening in here is this. Prev state brackets is really converting it into to-do tasks. That's what's happening here. Okay? This array represents this. And when you do this, you're saying, go to the object. This is the key that I'm looking for. It returns back an array, and then we use the push method to push task into it. Okay? And then we return an object, and the key is to do tasks. That's going to be the key. See how we used it up here? On an object, but within an object, you can also enumerate a key using the brackets. Okay? And we're saying, hey, prev state, boom, array, that should work. I'm going to say it's going to work. All right? So we did our handle to do. I think we're good. Oh, snap. Let's take a look.
So like you did the other day, if you wanted to, you could slice and splice things or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So usually when, you know, I would teach React and state, right? Because everyone's coming from this previous units of like arrays and methods and things, you show them slice. You know, hey, we're going to slice it. And then so people get used to understanding that slice can be used to create duplicate copies of arrays, right? Because you may need to use slice in the context outside of React, right? If somebody's like, hey, I got this other function and it's running in Angular, I don't know, does Angular have a previous state? I don't know, I'd have to take a look. And they may like, oh, you can't mutate the array, so you need to get a copy. You need to know that Slice can do that, all right? So we teach it like that, and then we're like, hey, you know what? React has its own version of the previous things. Let's introduce that now that you have context of what we're trying to do, right? Build the context of we cannot mutate state directly, so let's create a copy. Awesome. And then we move on to that React provides us a version of the previous state, and this is the way to do it. Okay, it is the preferred version to do React. When you're updating state, prev state is what you should be using. That's the context. You can do it the other way, but this is the way it should be. Okay, let's take a look. Now, once again, when we update state though, right, handle view is like doing this. So we're gonna have to do some other stuff, but once again, I just wanna make sure that if we do this, how can we confirm now that state has the thing that we want, considering that when I go back here and I do this, you know, it keeps changing things on me. Well, if I go to to-dos, I got 17, right? Oh. Yeah, we have to fix that. How can I confirm that? Now this is kind of acting weird, right? Well, I go 17, I go here, here's another test. Yeah, there you go. Another test, boom. Should be, if I refresh it, here, 18, another test, right? You could have also gone to render and just been like console log this dot state to confirm that the thing is happening. If you're not updating the thing yet in the view, but you're doing it behind the scenes and it's giving it back to you, then just console log in render to make sure that we're doing it. And we had already done that earlier. Look, we did that yesterday. That was part of this whole constructor render componented mount thing, right? And it's actually, this was it looks like this was the way that it ran. I think when I showed it earlier, I put componented mount above it. Cool, is it working for everyone? Okay.
It's not working for me.
All right, so let's take a look. Let me stop sharing. Let's take a look.
So, okay. So yeah, when I go here.
Okay.
Oh, now it's showing up test.
Yeah, that's what I did also. If you add something here, you will see, you know, Jacob test, right? If I do that and I refresh, changes to 19 and I say Jacob test.
But I kept getting this error down here. This update error is not a function.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're getting type error. This update array is not a function. Oh, okay. Why is that happening here?
Not sure.
Did you do the binding?
Yeah, we didn't do the binding.
Okay.
So remember earlier in form, we were doing the fat arrows and we didn't have to do binding?
Right, I think I just got confused there.
Yeah, so now we would go up here and say this dot update array is equal to this dot update array dot bind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Great.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Do your checkboxes work?
No.
Oh, okay.
We don't have the function. They work on this app because that's the app that has all the functionality. It's running on port 3001. This is on 3002. We have to add that functionality. This doesn't work.
Oh, okay. Because I thought I saw you like check one off. I was like, wait, when did we do that?
No, we didn't. We'll do it when we get to it, right? All right, so that looks like we did creating data, updating state, right? Boink. Awesome. So we were able to get out all of creating data. So now we're gonna move on to the updating the thing, okay? Let's go to that. Is everyone, let me just see where we stand today. Okay. Once again, I'm trying to take it slow and explain things. I'm gonna do the old Matt post here. How we feel? Oh, did I post it in the wrong thing? Okay. How are we feeling? Sweet. Once again, I'm trying to explain things as we go and kind of elicit, make sure everyone understands the process. Cool. And if you have questions, you ask the questions. That's what we're here for.
Oh, even though I binded it, I'm still getting this update array is not a function.
Let us see this update array. I'm just going to say this update array.
Did you bind this handle create task?
Oh yeah, this dot. I didn't bind it either. Handle create task.
No, I didn't. Thanks.
Yeah. You can see why doing it the fat hour way is less typing, right? This seems to be a bit more overhead. There's even a third way to kind of bind too. We're not going to go into that right now. If we have an example to show, I'll show it. But once again, test everything.
But we have to bind the update array method too, right? Both of those, the handle create task and the update array.
Handle create task, not a function. So hold on a second. This is it. Did I misspell this? Because now it just tripped out me on line 14. It's saying, where is this form? Oh, inside form. The minute I bound this thing right now, my form tripped out. So let me just exit it. I just want to see something. All right, that works. But the minute I bound it, it trips up my form. Is that not happening to anybody? Now it's tripping up my form. Let me just take a quick look. It was working before, so I don't know why. This dot props handle create task, because now it's saying this dot props is not a function. So when I was, what's up?
We can't see your screen.
Oh, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Help share your screen.
That would help. I forgot we're at Jacob and we were in. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting this error message now after I bound it in app. So I went app to bind it. I'm getting this error message. So I'm just going to take a look and see. I needed to bind this. Handle create task. Yeah. I mean, binding it here. It looks like that's the proper naming convention, right? Unless I misspelled it. I'm just going to guarantee I did not misspelled it.
You got to put dot bind before this.
Oh, snap! Yeah. You could do this all day, and I'd still forget something at some point in time. All right. All right. So it works. Refresh. Sweet. All right. Everything is good. I'm not getting any of those binding errors. Nothing. Looks pretty solid. Okay. What questions? Anyone have questions? And we can answer questions before we move on to the next updating. I saw people have questions.
Is prev state the name used by convention, or is that required?
No, you could use whatever naming convention you want. You know, I would just say this dot set state, and I'm just going to say prev state. And then you'll see like there's best practices. React now recommends using function with prev state inside. This is what React expects. It tells you what's right, what's wrong in the ES6 way of doing it. I'm going to take that. Let me just share that out.
So instead of just calling it arbitrary things that could be confusing to other people, yes, everyone's starting to use prev state so everyone knows, oh, okay, this was the old thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. And if you see it written like this anywhere, you're going to know, even if they called this whatever they wanted, it is the previous state. You can even pass in the props too if you needed to do something. This is just an example of like a counter that they're doing. But yeah, so prev state is always referenced. And when you update state, what they're trying to say also is when you do update state, kind of always include maybe prev state, even if you don't need it. For right now, do it. So you always know the construct of writing it with prev state so you don't forget it, all right? Even if you're not using prev state, just do it for now so you get the, you know, the repetitive use of it so it becomes intuitive. You can see here how they're doing this dot counter, right? This dot state dot counter plus this thing. You'd never do that because you're updating state directly. This dot state is a mechanism to update state, but this dot state updates state also. So you're actually trying to like update it twice, and you should never do that. And I believe this dot state supersedes this. Like it's an immediate thing that happens, and set state is a queuing mechanism that queues up the updates. So you have to wait within the queue. You can't just bypass it. This is an immediate, oh, it executed, go straight up. You got your VIP pass, okay? Cool. What other questions? Any other questions?
And so prev state here is a keyword, or you can just use any word, like you can use
Yeah.
previous.
You can use any keyword that you want. Yeah, it's not, you don't have to use prev state. It's just like this. I mean, props, these are just placeholders. These are methods, right? It's a function that's taking in stuff. This is an anonymous function. And the anonymous function is just like, hey, whatever you want to call these things, you call it, right?
Okay,
That's
so
all.
the first argument it will treat as a previous state.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yep, doesn't really matter. But everyone calls it prev state because that's what it is, right? So in context, we try to be like, the first parameter is the previous state, so the natural naming convention becomes prev state, okay? The second parameter is props, and so that's what we give it. Because it's hard-coded like that, right? We can't pass in just anything we want. It's the first thing we pass in is gonna be the previous state, and it knows that. It's doing the passing in, right? We're just telling it that the first thing is prev state, but it's doing it. It's like doing a map. The first thing is always going to be the element. Whatever you call that element, A, B, element, thing, doesn't matter. It's always going to be the element. Okay. What else do we got? Any other questions? Questions? All right.
I actually have a question. Can you just run through really quickly the return array, previous state array part?
This right here?
Yeah, just real quick.
Okay. So we are setting state, and we know that this is the context of doing it, right? So another way to write this, there is another way to write this, and they actually do it in the image here. You see this? See how they have a parens there and then the curly brace? Parens, curly brace, right? This is an intuitive return right here, right? An implicit return. Because, you know, after the fat hour, you should have curly braces, no? So what's happening, the way it's written right now is the same way. We're in previous state. We are in there. So this is a code block, right? The curly braces represent a block of code, like a function. We're then saying, hey, previous state, the object, I want you to look inside the array name. So take this and write it like this, right? It's a variable, so we need to just reference the variable name, but this is what it is, right? So once this finishes doing what it does, this is the ultimate result of it, okay? And then it pushes. So I probably would maybe put that below this and say it would more look like that, okay? So previous state is grabbing the array name that we told it, and since it returns back in an array, because that's what it is, we push the task in it. Then we have to give back to previous state. We have to return something back, and so we have to return our new version of state that we want. See how we're returning an object? We're giving back to state this object, okay? So we're saying state. Now, to compare that maybe just with form, if I went into form, what is happening here? And what is happening here? Look at this .set state here. We're giving it an object, correct? We're calling this .state, it's a method, and we're giving it an object. And it knows what to do with the object, right? That's how we update state, right? When we go to app, we're inside of this code block here. And now we need to kind of return back an object just like this. We're giving it an object. We have to give back to state the object that we want to update. And so that's what we're doing here. We need to return back an object. Another way to write this, I think we could have written it like this also. So let me just do this real quick. I'm going to comment this out. I want to see if this is how I think I would have approached it. I would have put a parens there, and then I would have put a parens there. I believe that that's it. Or it's actually 2 parentheses here. Let me just give me a second. I'm changing things up, right? I would have maybe done prev state, maybe done this. Array, prev state array. I might have done something like this. I wonder if this is going to work or not. Oh no, this parens has to go that way. I was right. All right. Okay. I want to see if this works. Okay. A lot of the times you're going to see it like this also. So let me just take a look, make sure I didn't break anything. Here's React. Looks pretty good. I'm missing a few things up here. Not sure why. Let me just refresh, right? All right. So I'm going to go back to our app. Joe refactored state, right? Or this dot set state. Oh, no, it's not doing it. This dot props dot test, so it's not going to do it. I can already see this dot set state, prev state. That's forcing it. Yeah, so that's not going to work. I'm curious if I changed this to be to do. Let me just see. To do tasks. I just want to see if I hard code it. Let me just see if I hard code it. Nope. All right. So this isn't the way to do it. There is a way to do it like that, though. So we'll just go back here. So we have to return something back, an object to state. We have to give it back something. And so that's what we're doing here. And make, I know I try to refactor it a little bit, so I might have thrown everyone off, but does that make sense what we're trying to do here? I mean, this is brand new, right? This is something, I've never seen this. What's going on here? You know, as we go along, and if we have to update anything with this context, I'm going to be asking everyone to be like, hey, what's this thing? What's that other thing doing? So we will reinforce that.
I have a kind of an off-site question, Joe.
What?
Just out of curiosity. I mean, obviously not all of us are going to learn this as fast as others, but is it normal to sit kind of like really confused?
Yes.
Okay.
Normal. Once again, this is no different than the algorithms, right? Some people can work out algorithmic thinking much quicker. This stuff makes sense. Just the way their brains are constructed, this stuff makes sense. And for others, when I teach React, I can teach it for a whole week and people are still at the end of the week like, some people are like, I love it, and they're doing all this advanced stuff, and other people are like, I still don't get it. This is still like foreign to me. It takes time. And it's like anything. It will take time to absorb it. And you just have to practice that every day. Create a tiny little app, pass something down. Make sure you understand that one concept. Awesome, check, understand the concept, do the next thing, okay?
So prev state, is that the whole state? Does that contain everything, or does that just contain?
Nope, it does. Let's do this. Console log, this is prev state.
So whenever you do a this.set state, whatever you put after it is going to contain the entire state.
Sure. And let's test it out. You know, test, blah, blah. This is prev state right here. And to do tasks, should not have the thing that I put in there. So I was looking for, was it testy? I don't know.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that that was like the entire thing. I wasn't sure if it was the entire thing or if it was just the things that we were going to be changing.
So I'm just wanted to test it out. This just to make sure, right? So to do tasks doesn't have anything right now. Here's my prev state here. This is inside render. Oh, what happened? I got to refresh. You know, when I submitted it, prev state doesn't have anything. Or it does. It has an array of 4 things. I don't know why. Here we go. I don't know why I didn't do it before, but it would be the previous version because we didn't update state yet. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of my render here because this is, I don't need this anymore. Now I'm just seeing extra stuff at this point in time. I don't need to see that. Cool. Any other questions? Going once. We'll take a break. We'll come back and then we'll try to bang out the next, possibly the next 2. Maybe we can get the next 2 before lunch. All right, so let's take a break. 12:10, come back at 12:20, and we'll pick it up. Break time.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When we're setting state,
Sure.
would you consider that we are completely replacing the object, or we're simply overriding what we want to be different?
So what we are doing is, just think of this too, what we want to be different.
Okay.
Right? In this version of set state, there's 2 things in here. There's completed false, right? But we're not touching completed false. We're
So
only
it's just an overwrite because we cannot edit state. We can only overwrite it.
Yeah, so what it's doing is, in this instance, set state is probably like, hey, this is the one thing that you want to update in this object. Cool, I'll just update the one thing. I won't get rid of this key. Just because you didn't include it here, I'm not going to make that key value disappear. I'm going to loop. Somehow it's doing some sort of construct under the hood where it's like, hey, they gave me an object, and I'm going to compare the keys in this object with the keys in state. And any key that I find in this object, I will then update the value in state. If I don't find the key, then I don't touch the thing in state. Only the thing that you told me to update do I update. So it's not a complete override of the object, because if we overwrote the object, we'd lose that value.
Right, but if we're, okay, we can, I got it. I think I got it in my head. I'm just trying to work through the
I'm like this. I'm ready to be like, I'll answer it. Yeah, okay.
No, that return line where it says array as the key and then prev state array as the value is what I'm trying to figure out how to comment it so I remember.
Because we have to return an object. This is the same thing. This right here, these curly braces and this value, if I put it all in one line, I just want you to say, if I put it all in one line, this is the same thing as this. You see how that's an object with a key value pair?
Yes.
This is the same thing. This is an object with a key value pair. It's the same thing. When we write it like this, there is an implicit return in here. Like there is a return in there, we just don't see it.
Okay.
When we do it here, because we're inside the curly braces and because we did a few other things, we need to use the return keyword. We have to, we must. Otherwise, nothing leaves this code block, okay? These curly braces push us into the world of needing the return keyword. Cool?
Got it. Thank you.
You got it. All right, I am going to try to do what I was doing before. I think I can do this. Let's see. Paste it. How did this not work? Curly brace. Transparents. Because it's an object. Why does this not work here?
Hey, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
That additional material on React that you had, would you be
Yeah.
able to send that to me?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. I would love to take a look.
Okay.
So this is just the whole thing that you just go through?
Yeah. I would go to like, I don't know if it's sequential. You have to go through it. It's been a while since I don't teach that material in that format. We do it like readmes and such. I would go to things that maybe you find interesting, maybe like functional components or React Router or something like that.
Cool. Very cool.
That's what I would do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sweet. Oh, I know why this didn't work. Prev state, task, snap. That's probably why it didn't work. Nope. Yeah. Prev state. Oh, so it's prev state array. Tell me. Yes, baby, yes. Got it. right. Okay. Yep. All right, just give me a second. Pushed code out of there. Yeah. Just gonna get the other lecture, and then we can bloop, updating. All right. Sweet. Okay. I did get it to work. Like I knew. I'm not seeing everybody. Hold on, I'm not seeing everybody. Oh, there is everybody. Okay. What I was trying to do earlier, I got it to work. Okay. I was just doing it in the wrong way. Who wants to kind of walk me through what's happening here? I'm going to put this at the top over here, just because it's much more terse. It's much more terse code. Who wants to walk me through what's happening there? This whole thing. I took all of this code, all of this, and I converted it into that small section of code. Who wants to walk me?
If no one else wants to do it, I can try to do it.
Yes. Jeremy, coming up.
All right, so update array is a function. You're going to be passing in the task that you just made, and you're going to be sending it an array, which is the to-do tasks array.
Sure. Okay.
So then what you're going to do is you're going to set the state, and you're going to be using the previous state. So what you're going to do then is you're going to take your array that you're getting in, and you're going to set it to, you're using the spread operator of the previous state array. So that's taking your previous state to do tasks, and it's kind of like splitting everything up into individual pieces. And then you're going to add on your new task that you just made.
Correct. Yeah. And this, what is this doing?
You're setting your to-do tasks array to the value of the previous task list plus the new task.
Exactly. And so this really turns or enumerates itself into the key name, right? An object needs a key and a value.
Yeah, array is technically this .state.to-do tasks.
This right here, yeah. It's this name. It's not this .state. It's really just to-do tasks. This would be the same thing as me just targeting to-do tasks. I'm just showing you a better way than writing it like this, right? It seems like we've seen this before, where you've done the spread operator and you added something to the beginning of the list. I remember when Jerica was teaching the other day, she put something to the beginning of the list. I'm putting it to the end of the list, right? And the spread operator opens up the previous array. To me, I would write it like that. This is how I would write it. I wouldn't do it like that. It's just, to me, more code to write. You know?
Is the spread operator necessary? Like, do you need to be able to split it up into different pieces just to add a new one?
Yeah, because remember, I'm taking the previous array, and I need the whole array.
Well, couldn't you do like previous state array dot push task?
Previous state dot array dot. You possibly could, yeah. I mean, maybe you could do that too. I think I had tried that. I don't think you can because we're in an array. I know what you're saying. You're saying like do that. Push. That's what you're saying to do, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know if that works. I haven't really seen it done like that. I got to be honest. Test.
Because like array.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Joe, would that be in that case? Would we then be editing that previous state directly instead of creating a new thing? Is that maybe
no? Because remember,
difference?
because when you're
Oh, you still have it in there. I see.
you
Yeah.
have it in there. You could do that. What I'm thinking right now is that maybe there's more typing here. Because look, 3 dots, 1, 2, 3, and a comma. Right? That's only 4 characters that I typed, right? Versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters, right? I need to type in 7 more characters when all I need to type in is 4 more characters. Which one becomes more efficient?
Yeah, and then again, I'm trying to go back to like the old JavaScript way of writing things using, array methods and stuff versus trying to use like the new React syntax way of doing things. You know what I mean?
I'm going to only stress try to work on the new ways. If you have to flip between learning the old ways and learning the new ways, learn the new ways. Because they're going to be more prominent going forward. React uses it. New tools that are going to come out are going to be using it. It's just the new way, right? It's kind of like, I want to use these old methods. They're going to be there, and when you see them, you'll figure out how to use them. You won't have to worry about that, but I would try to work on the newer things so that you lock those down. That would just be my advice. Sweet. So let's do this. Moving on to updating the data. All right. Updating the data. Handle tech, handle check. What do we got here? Handle check. Okay. So now we have to move the data from one list to another. That's kind of, the updating here isn't what you think of updating the item in the in Rails. That's not the update we're talking about here. The update that we're talking about here is the ability to move something from a to-do to a completed. That's the updating. The fact that we can click on something, it automatically moves it to completed. 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 That's the updating that we're talking about, not editing the actual item. There is no edit button here. So in this updating, right, we have the 2 arrays, to-do tasks and completed tasks. And when you click on something, we need to do something. So already I'm thinking click event, right? Both of these are going to have some sort of on-click events on the actual item themselves, right? And when you click on it, there has to be something that listens to that. Now, here's a little thing. Where do you think the thing, when we do update it, right? So I'm going to go here. Let's annotate. Have some fun with annotation. The task right here, right? Let me get a different color. Let's use red. See this thing here? Oh, you know what? I think my pen must have died. My pen's not working. This is the thing that we're going to click on, correct? Can we agree on that? All right. Once again, my pen doesn't work. When that gets clicked, where are we doing the updating? Anyone tell me? I go to a task. I click the task. How do I update completed tasks and to-do tasks? Where does it have to occur? Such silence. It's like scary. I almost feel like you just posted GIFs of yourself moving, like you're real people there, but you stepped away. No one's really there. Go ahead. Talk to me. Go ahead. I heard something.
Isn't it in the app state?
Okay, here, right? Is that what you're going to say, Sarah, too? It's in the app?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
we're state for completed tasks and to-do tasks is an app.
Correct. So that means we have to pass something down, only to pass the value up, and then the value up, right? We're going to pass a function down, and actually this is what happens. Once the function is passed down here, when we execute the function, right, I'm going to call the function, just parens to call it, that function, this thing right here, gets executed up here, okay? When I pass a method down, doesn't matter how far I pass it down, when it gets executed in the context of where it was originally passed from, okay? So when we do have the check on the thing, that method is going to get passed down from here to task list and task list down to task. When task executes it, it gets executed in the context of this, and then app runs and it does its thing, okay? Task list doesn't know what to do with it, right? Task list doesn't have any idea of completed tasks or to-do tasks. It would be like, I don't know, what do you want me to do with this thing? I don't have those things that you're looking for. I can't run this .set state. Task list does not have access to state. This state that lives there, task list doesn't have access to. Not directly, right? It can't run this .set state. Can't do that because it doesn't have state. You can only run this .set state in the component that has the state. That's all. You can't run it in a component that doesn't have state. Because then it's looking at itself to update state. And it's like, oh, man, I got to update state. And it's like, woof, I don't have state. Okay, so I'm just trying to provide some context to the fact that we are going to have to create something here, pass it down, execute it here, but really it's getting executed up here in the context of that. And we'll come back here and we'll update these little methods. We finished with these, right? These don't need to be read anymore. We did all of these. This is all part of our, just want to make sure, and then I'll come back here and we will add new things as we do it, right? Because this I want to be the final capture of everything that we've done. I think it'll be a good starting point for you when you do your project. So we need to update some sort of handler, create some sort of handler that's going to do the thing for us, right? And it's going to be called handle check, right? I suppose it sounds like what it's doing, right? I check and I do it. I might do maybe something by like handle click or something, but this, because we have multiple clicks, you can't do that. You have to tell it what it does. So handle check is what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be doing it inside of the app, right? I'm just going to minimize these methods. So you can see the methods, but they're not like taking up space. I get tired of scrolling, right? So we have updating and adding new items. And here we added a new item. So here's the updating of the new item, right? And I'm going to say, I don't know, handle check, checking of item, okay? And so we're going to add a method here called handle check. All right. What do you think this thing needs? What do you think it needs in order to handle the check? And by that, I also mean, like, where is the data being stored? And what values do we need to be paying attention to? So what's the first thing you think we might need to do, or what's some of the requirements?
We need the current index of the, index of the current element that is being checked.
Okay, right. So in order to go, and why do we need the index, right?
So that you can update that particular element, whether in the array or in the database.
Exactly, right? So we need that element. Well, the array index, the index of the element is it possible that it could be the same as the index in the database, or could it be different? The position of the element in our to-do tasks, right? Its position is not always going to correlate to an index number in the array, right? Because as in the database, as elements get added, they get a new index number, right? So it's quite possible that I create a task number 100, but my to-do tasks only have one thing in it because I've completed the other 99. Right? So it's quite possible. But we still need the index because we need to make a what call now. What kind of action do we need to do?
A put.
A put, right? We need to update the database first. Remember the process. We do not, just like Flint said, we don't go in here and update these things because it's a false sense of updating. We update the database. The database says, hey, the thing's been completed. Cool. Now you do your thing. Whatever you do, you do. Like I'm just was told to like update the thing. I didn't care what the thing did. Okay. So in here, we're going to take in some things, right? The first thing we need is the task, because at some point in time, we need to grab the task, update a value inside the task, right? Send that thing to the database. This is where I wish my pen was working, but it's not. Then we want the array index, and we want the current array. Okay. What do you think the current array might be? Well, could be the to-do tasks. Could be completed tasks. Maybe it's going to do a few things here. All right. These are our parameters that we need. So we know what to do here. We need this index. Let's jump into what we need to do. So the first thing I need to do is say, hey, task.completed is equal to the opposite of task.completed. Now, here's the reason. Here's the logic. And it's tasks. Spell it right, Joe. Spell it right. Watch what happens here. I'm going to say, hey, updating set update handler. I'm like, oh, man, you know what? We haven't completed that thing yet. So I'm going to go here and guess what I'm going to do? Uncheck it. Right? That is a toggle functionality. I'm toggling. 1 minute, the thing was checked. And the next time, the thing is not checked. Right? It's all the way down here, too. These are going down here. Okay? Go back in my to-dos. So it's not doing this, the ordering of them. Things are out of order right now. But that's why we're doing this. Right? This toggles the completed value. Whatever it is, it allows you to click it once and then it'll uncheck it, check it, whatever. Really simple way to do it, right? Now we make our fetch call, right? To put or update the element, right? So let's do that. This is the same kind of syntax, fetch, and then the URL, HTTP, localhost 3000, tasks, and then what do we need? Very specific. We need to do something, and here we are going to concatenate the task ID. Okay? And then we're going to give it an object to work with. Task, I keep misspelling it. Right, we need the ID. We're going to the database, and the database is configured with tasks /: ID. And then it'll know what to do with that. So we're going to send it a value. Well, once again, the body, what do we need to do with the body? Well, we got to bring back our good friend stringify. And we need to stringify the task, convert it to a string. Then we need to do a method of put, right? In strings, sorry, put. Then we need headers with an S, so we don't have that mistake again, right? All right, I'm just gonna do this. I have a feeling like I'm gonna fat from it, so I was just gonna get rid of this, get rid of this. I just wanted to copy and paste a little bit. You can pull this from the handle create too, right? You can just cut the headers. The headers aren't something that you're gonna wanna write out all the time. You just copy and paste that, put it inside here, okay? That's our structure. If this is successful, if everything works, Then we're going to updated task, okay? We're gonna do what with this? Now, this is the long way, so you know what? I'm not gonna do the long way. I'm doing updated task.json, right? I don't wanna do the long way. The lecture notes, it's gonna have the long way where you have to return. I don't wanna return something unless I need to use the return keyword. There's more typing, more room for error. This is all I wanna do. And then I wanna do something with the data. Hey, I ran it. I want to do something with the data. And what are we going to do with this? Well, once again, we're going to still kind of reference this whole J data. This has multiple lines of code. I got the data, and what are you going to have to do? Well, I'm going to have to like remove the thing from one array and move it to the other array, right? That's what we have to do. Move it from the completed array, from the to-do array to the completed array, move it from the completed array to the to-do array, whichever array, right? Right, so we are gonna say here, this dot, we need a method, we don't have it yet, so I'm just gonna say, hey, remove from array, we don't have it, we need it, current array, and the array index, okay? Once again, we gotta remove from the array, okay? We're gonna run some logic here now. If current array is equal to to-do tasks, right? Well, that's the array. Then let's do this dot update array. Remember our update array here? You know, Christian pointed out that we were setting it up like that so that it could be reused in another context. We constructed it so flexible that it can be reused now. And so we have the update array. We tell it the task, and we say, completed tasks, right? It'll go in there and it'll do the thing. Okay, else this dot update array, the task, and to do tasks, okay? And then the only thing left is to catch any errors. Say console. Okay. Gonna put an error there, give it some context. So we're fetching based on the ID. Fetch requires that we send some data. We're sending the whole object. We're telling us that we want to do an update, this put. The headers, we just need that because it's fetch. We parse it if it is successful. And then we work with the data. So we're going to remove it from one array and then update another one, okay? So what methods do we need now? Well, we still need this remove array, right? That doesn't exist here yet, right? We just created handle check, but we don't have remove array, okay? We need both of those, right? Handle check is there. We need this too, right? Because we just created that, and we have this. And so now we have, now that I've created this method, and it's not running, I don't see, oh, it has this dot update this, right? So what does this mean? This method was just created, and it references the context of this. What do we got to do? Does it know what?
Bind it.
Bind it, right? Handle check is something that we're going to do first, right? So this is this dot handle check is equal to this dot handle check dot bind yes, right? At least kind of bang those out. You'll create the method, add it up there. If this dot remove from array also needs to be, if it also references this, then we should also do that. And it will reference this within it. So I'm going to say remove from array. I'm going to go back up here and say this dot remove from array is equal to this dot remove from array dot bind this. Okay? As if right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bindings. It's a lot. In hindsight, I kind of wish we did the fat arrows, right? It's just less typing. Cool. So I have this handle check. So I got handle check and remove from array. So I'm going to go back to our little diagram here. And the methods are, I'm going to put update, right? And our update method is handle check and remove from array, right? These are our new methods that we're doing as part of our update, right? Just want to make it clear. Now we're updating. These are the 2 new methods that we just created. So we have them. All right, what do we got to do? Handle check. Once again, there was a bunch of console logs. We created the thing. I just wanted to create it. We know what we're doing. Now we can go kind of do what we need to do. Okay? We didn't create the handle, the remove from array method yet either. So,
hey Joe.
Yeah.
Why would I get an error that says that can't read bind? It's undefined.
You did handle check here?
I did.
Because we didn't create the actual.
Oh yeah, we didn't create this thing yet.
Okay.
So for right now, maybe can we? I wonder if we can.
I just wanted to make sure.
Inside the constructor, this is a constructor, so we can't do that. So you know what? Maybe I'll take this out so we won't just get that error right now. So we're not dealing with errors. Let me just make sure things not working right. I don't want to be flipping around with errors and stuff. So I'm just going to move that out there for right now. All right. Handle check. Now what do we have to do? Well, why don't we create the remove method, and then once we have the remove from array, we can add that back, right? So I'm going to go here, handle check, and let's do remove from array method, right? So the remove from array method needs to know the array that you want to remove from and the array index. Okay? That's what it needs. We need to know what array, what's the index of the thing. Okay? We're going to see our little buddy splice here in just a minute. So here, I'm going to say this dot set state, because that's where our arrays live. Previous state. Okay, I want to write it the way I was writing it earlier. Okay, the lecture notes have it kind of the old way where you do the return, and I'm not really crazy about doing the return. I just think it's more. So I'm going to say array. Hey, what's the array you want? Cool. What do you want to do with this array? Well, I want to splice out the elements, right? So we're going to say prev state array dot splice the array index 1. It should work. Right? Previous state is the previous state as an object. This is the array, and we're splicing this thing out. Okay? So I think, let me just see. You might, yeah, because this would return back the array. I think we might have to do I'm going to test this out. Only because we're mutating the array. Remember, Jeremy, when you were like, hey, can't we just push it in? Right? Just push the thing in. So I think this context would work also. We can come back to this and take a look though, okay? Because in the end, previous state is an array. We are mutating. We're using splice, and splice removes it. But splice also returns back an array of one thing, the thing you spliced. So I don't necessarily want to return back the thing I spliced, the one thing. I want the array that's left over to then be opened up, okay? So let's take a look there. So those are the two things. We have our two methods here that should handle things, and now we have to pass them down, okay? Our handle check, it's doing everything we need it to do. It's calling this remove from array, the current array, and the array index, and then it will do its thing, right? We pass that in, it updates state, and then we update the array, okay? So what we need to do is pass down those particular methods to task list, okay? So in render, so here's render, we have task list, right? Task list already has current view. It has handle view, okay? Right, current list handle view, should have handle view. To do tasks and completed tasks. And now we need to send down handle check, right? So we're gonna say handle check is equal to this dot handle check. Remember, where handle check is going to be executed, it's executed all the way down on the task item itself, okay? We're passing it down a task list. Task list has a handle on it right now. Now, when task list has it, it's going to have it as a prop. So let's go to task list and take that method and continue to pass it down. That's what we need to do. Task list doesn't know what to do with the thing. You're not clicking on task list, you're clicking on tasks. So I'm gonna go to task list, okay? And we're spinning up tasks, like these are our individual tasks, right? And handle check will either be on to-do items themselves, right? Or completed items. This is the view, right? This here, task list, is responsible for the view. Completed and to-dos, completed and to-dos. That's what it's responsible for, okay? And so we used conditional logic to make that distinction. Hey, if it's to-do, show the to-dos. If it's not to-dos, then show the other thing. But every task item needs to have this method available to it. Doesn't matter what array, it needs to have it. Once it's born into existence on the page, when you're doing the flipping, it needs to have the method. Otherwise, you can't do it. And we need to pass down. What do we need to pass down to this item now, too? We have key. That's what this needs because it's a iterator, right? We're iterating these things, so we need the key. We're passing down the task, so the task is like, hey, I know what to actually put on the screen. Let's say that we're going to put the handle check method. We're going to pass down handle check, right? This props handle check, okay? What you're also going to see in React is a lot of the props and the methods that get passed down are the same naming convention, so you know what they are. Handle check was up here, was passed down as a prop with the same name as the method that's up there, and I'm going to continue to pass that down. So I see the associations. When I was teaching this one day, people were like, man, I'm confused. You keep naming everything the same thing. And I'm like, yes, I'm naming it the same thing so that when you look at it here, you know the relationship. If you start giving these things different names, then these methods, these props are going to have like different names in 3 different places, and you're going to be even more confused. So this creates some sort of standardization. When we execute this method, what do we need? When we execute it, what are we going to pass it?
The array.
Okay.
index?
So let's go. I'm going to go to handle check, right? Let's take a look in app and take a look at handle check, right? What does handle check want? Tell me. What three things does handle check want?
Task, array index, and current array.
Okay, right? So the task itself, the thing that was clicked on, the array index of the element so that we could, remove it from one and add it to another, right? That's the array index. And its current array, the array that it's in right now. So I know to go to to-dos and use its array index and rip it out and put it into completed, right? If it's incompleted, I grab its index, I rip it out, I splice it, and then I put it in to-do tasks, right? This is the process. This is important because in task lists, we need to pass that information down. If I go to task doesn't really have much information here. I mean, it's got the name of the task, but it doesn't yet have the array index value. It doesn't know its position because it was never passed down to it. And it doesn't know if it belongs in completed or to-do tasks. It has no information here. It's just a dummy thing. It's like, hey, I'm just here. I don't even know. If you ask me what list I came from, I couldn't even tell you that because I don't have the information here. So in task lists, we want to pass that information down. The two things that are important here to pass down are going to be the array index, okay? And that's going to be the index. Now, take a look here. The key has index, and this is index. Can we reference key in the child item in task? Is that possible to do like this.props.key? I'm going to say no. It's only available here. Key is meant for like this task item to kind of understand itself. That's why you're doing this, right? You wouldn't do this, double it, if I'm already passing the thing down. Why the hell would I like create another prop with the same value? Doesn't make any sense. Key isn't accessible down there, so we're not going to use it. The last thing we need is to know what or which of the to-do tasks or completed tasks, which one do you belong to? So we're going to say current array is equal to to-do tasks. Now this element, this task, has all the information it needs to know its position and the array that it belongs to. It knows its home array, right? So we're passing down a method that it can use to click on. And once it clicks on that method, it can give back its index position and itself and the task, the array that it belongs to, okay? So I have all the information. I have the task, I have the index, and I have the current array. These three pieces of information are key because once again, if I go back to app and I take a look, we need the task, the array index, and the current array. And so we're making sure that the task item has those things available. So once it's clicked on, it can populate and send it back so this thing has knows what to do with it, right? Let's go back to task list. We're not finished because we still have to do it with this, right? This needs to do it also. So in all honesty, all we need to do is take these three. It's the same three. We only have to change one thing, right? Take these three. If I put them here, the only thing I need to do is change what? What do I need to change? Oh, and what do I got to change here? One thing.
Current array from to-do task to completed task.
There you go. Wow. Oh, and you sounded just like Pooja. That's amazing. You're right. Completed tasks, right? That's it. We still need to pass down the handle check method because that has to be checked, and we're doing the toggling. We still need to pass down the index because now we got to go into completed tasks and like remove its, splice it from completed tasks and give it to to-dos. And this tells us that it lives into completed tasks, right? So now that we've done that, now that we've set up tasks list, we now need to go into the task itself, okay? Let's give it a moment. No errors here. I'm going to just make sure there's no errors. Nothing seems to be happening. Sweet. I'm going to go to task now. Okay. So in task, we have to do a few things here. We're going to need to attach an event to this. Ultimately, we're going to have to do the delete. But once again, we can come back to the delete at that point in time. All right. All right. Incomplete, complete. All right. We have this price, the completed. That represents the icon, right? Whether this ternary operator is going to do what for us? Who can tell me what that ternary operator is going to show? What does it show? Dad, haven't called on you at all. I know, right? Good times.
I think there's good reason you haven't called on me.
No, I was saving the best for last. That's like the best reason.
Okay, so what was the question again?
Okay, so the question is, what's happening here? What's this ternary operator needed to do? Just want to make sure.
It is saying that if the task is completed,
yes,
to show that incomplete, and if it's not, to show the complete.
Okay.
Am I close?
You're close. So in all honesty, we're doing this, right? This icon here is square, is F8 check. If I go to completed, you see how these icons have a check mark, but the to-do items do not have a check mark? They're two separate icons. One icon is a check icon. The other icon is not a check. And if it knows that the task has been completed or its value is true, it returns back that you've been checked. Otherwise, it returns back that you have not been checked. That's what it does, okay? And that's important because our on-click event needs to be attached to both of these icons, because at any point in time, you could click on the check icon or the not checked icon. Make sense? That at any point in time, this icon right here is not the same icon as this icon right there. They are two different DOM elements. And because they are two different DOM elements, I need to attach a action to both of those DOM elements, okay? That's important. That's why I kind of wanted to make that as a point, that we have to do this. So we have the incomplete, and we want to attach an event. So I'm just going to do this. Once again, I'm going to kind of go to the next line so that I can add a method here. And I'm just going to go to the next line so I can add a method here. So that's all I'm doing. I'm structuring this so I have a place here to add a method and a place here to add a method. That's all I'm doing. Moving things down, not doing a whole lot. Just repositioning things. Okay. What am I going to put here? What's the event that's happening? What event happens? How about this? Lindsay, what event happens? Lindsay knows I was going to call her. Lindsay, what event happens? No? Maybe Lindsay's not listening to me.
On click.
Lindsay. Don't be slacker and be like, Lindsay.
On click.
Yeah, on click. I bet you somebody is slacking right now. Joe's calling on you. You're not like paying attention. On click. Right? Spelled the right way. And it's an anonymous function that is going to call what? What's the method we're calling? This dot props dot what? John, what are we calling? What's the method? What method? Could it be that method?
Yeah, handle check.
There you go. You're right on point. And it needs 3 values, right? What are the 3 values it needs? It needs to know who it is, its position, its index, and what array does it currently belong to, right? It's going to get all that information from this.props.task. That's who you are. Awesome. Where do I belong in the array? This.props.array index. That's where you belong. And what array are you actually in? Like, I'm sorry, who you are, your position, where you are, and actually the array that you belong to. This.props.current array. Okay? I'm going to try to pull this out. I'm going to try to keep it all on the same line. That's it. That's what the thing takes, right? It takes that. Remember, this gets executed down here, but it really gets executed in an app. It's passed all the way down, boop, but when it gets executed, it's really getting executed in the scope of app. App knows what to do with this thing. Task list has no idea. Task list is just like, it's like me mailing an envelope. You know how many people touch that envelope? A letter, they have no idea what's inside of it. They just pass it along to the person that gets it, opens it up. They know what to do with it. This is the same context. When you're passing methods down multiple components, this is the process. So this is identical to that. The same place. It's the same thing. We're calling the same method. Okay? It's the same method. We don't really have to change any of the information, right? This will be completed, right? Completed tasks, and this will be to-do tasks. Their array positions will be different based on the array that they're in, and the task itself will be the task name, right? Okay. So we pass that down. This should possibly work now, right? I'm going to go back to app. Now that we're good with this, right? Just leave it there for another minute in case anyone's copying it or anyone's doing it. Take a look. We're just passing down we're executing an on-click that calls a method in a parent. In a parent's parent. Okay? I'm just going to go back to app now because that's really where we need to be. Okay? I think earlier, did I do this? I had commented out the remove from array. I didn't bind it earlier because, you know, we had that error. So I'm just going to put it back. I want to make sure that this whole process works now. Okay. Looks good. Let's go back to our list here and let's see. So I'm going to delete some of this. Is the real one. So I'm just getting rid of some of those things. Creating. I think we did that. All right. So this is what we have. So I'm going to go back to hours. This is hours. Okay. So if I say updating data, set up on click, if I check that, snap, look at that. What happened? Watch this. Snap. Oh, didn't do it. We're still in. We didn't change the view though, right? This looks like it should not be here because these numbers are changing. It looks like it's adding it. Does it not? It looks like completed just keeps adding. It doesn't look like something's off. Just going to take a look at the errors. We don't have any errors. I'm just thinking why that would be. See how completed isn't moving anything out of completed? It keeps adding the things back to completed. If I show completed, not refreshing it here. Is that happening for everybody else? If I do this, see how completed just increases the number? Is that not? Like pin drop time.
Mine's going away.
Yours is going away?
Yeah.
Okay, so I must have did something wrong. Whose else is going away? Anyone else going away? Yep, yours is Christian too. Jeremy, yours is going away.
I can't even get my checkbox to work.
I can get it to go to do.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because mine's not working, so I have to figure out why. When I check on this, it doesn't go anywhere.
I don't think we're calling to fetch the quest thing again anywhere.
Well, we did handle check, right? So when we do handle check, that is the thing that we pass down, right? So let me just go down here and we pass down handle check. So handle check is being executed, right? And when we handle check, we pass up the data, we toggle the thing, and we send this out. And unless I'm going to get an error message, which I'm not getting any error messages, which tells me the database is working fine, right? That's what that tells me. That everything is working fine in the database because I'm not getting any errors. So this fetch call must be working correctly, right? It's doing the remove from the array. Every time I refresh though, right, it should get the data and it should, once you get the data, split them up, right? If I do this, it splits it up. I have to-dos and I have completed. So let me see. If I do this.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
In your second promise, you need to replace task with the return, like the JSONified data. So like, so
here
in your update array, it says task instead. So sorry, if you go in your handle check,
here?
the second promise or the second then
line 80.
Yeah. So see how it says task?
Yep.
So wouldn't you'd want the JSON data,
oh,
right?
Oh yeah, we want the data here. Yes, JData. That was it. And then this would be JData also. All right, just gonna make sure an app was that way too. Okay, yeah. Yes. Now, I'm thinking also, so here's, I guess, the thought process too, right? If it was task, and we already changed task, right? So I took the thing that came in, and I swapped it from completed to do, right? We then make the request to the database, the data come back with that object updated, completed is now false or true, right? We go through this process, This is the actual object that has completed now either true or false, right? So I see where you're going, Molly, and that's probably the best way to do this, right? The JData here is probably the better way. But if it was task, shouldn't it still represent the elements here that's been mutated, right? I'm just throwing it out there. It should, right? If this works, then these two things should be identical at that point in time. The task that was passed in was kind of changed up here. We told those changes to be sent to the database. The database sent back the item as it looks like it should be in this current state. I don't know if that's what's happening. I'm going to change it and let's take a look. Unless it has something to do with when I updated state like this or something like that.
We never finished our splice statement and the remove from array, so I think it's just sending the that you
okay.
took out, right?
So this right here, I think when I had done this, I was doing it in that fashion I thought was going to work. That's what I think happened. So I'm going to go back to the remove from array. I'm just going to use the method here. I'm going to change this up because once again, I was trying to use the way that I was used to, but that required it a refactor. So I might try to do that on lunch. I'm going to try to change it back to the old way just to make sure. This dot set state prev state states the array that you want to splice. I did use splice, right? I'm just making sure I use the right method names. Array index 1, and we would return back the array prev state array. I'm just going to change it. Once again, I didn't error out. I thought I could pull.
Spelled set state.
Yep. There we go. Sweet. Now let me take a look. Here's ours. Updates. Update.
Misspelled set state wrong.
Oh, yes. Set state. There we go. Again. Don't tell me again.
I think you got to capitalize the S.
Set state. Oof. Okay. Fine. All right. Now it works. So the way that I had done this earlier, so I'm just going to go back to the previous, which I could say that it wasn't working. This way that I had done it earlier isn't working. So I'm going to just make sure that the way that I had done it, unless I'd done something here different.
You just have to, it'll probably work. You just have to add like a return, something to return.
You don't need the return keyword here though. That's
because you're setting it, yeah.
Yeah, the same way we did it earlier, you don't need the return keyword. I was just trying to find that way of doing it. But I think this whole splice out the array thing here inside of it may not be doing what I want it to do, and then it does the array. So I don't think that's what's happening. Array that it's the array. If I splice it out, yeah, I don't think it's doing what I thought it was doing. So I'm going to go back to doing it this way, where we splice it out, and then we return the array as is, okay? Yeah. I'm sure there's a way to do this. Like, I'm going to figure out how to do the splice like that. I want to do it like this. I don't want to do it like this. And I guess there's a way to do that. All right. And now it works. Looks pretty good. Got all my completed. What is this? It's not going to show me my completed now. Is that happening for anybody else? You click on completed, you don't see any? Show for everyone? It's working for you?
Oh. Beyond messed up, so mine does not show any of that.
Okay, I'm going to fix that. What I'm going to say is I think we went through the lecture. I think we did. After putting put requests, we updated state, right? We bound everything. We removed our array. We did the if conditional logic. That's there. So we actually walked through that lecture, right? Once again, I was in certain places and I just decided to like put the things there since we're there instead of going through the lecture like, hey, we're just going to do this and this. When I'm kind of building this stuff out, it's just easier sometimes to say, we're here. Let's do the thing here that we need to do. And then we'll go to the other place and do it rather than kind of going back and forth. And I think at the same time, it keeps you thinking. If we're here and we have to figure out the logic right now versus like, just type in the thing that's there. All right, what do we got? Do we got any questions? Because we'll go to lunch. We'll break out early because we only have the delete left anyway. And I'm going to figure out why mine's not working. But do we have any questions? Yeah.
For your handle view, can you expand that?
Oh, my handle view. Where's my handle view? Here.
I think that line 104 and 105 is why it's not actually, or it's zeroing out the array when you're trying to toggle it.
Got it. Let me see what. Oh, yes. Yes. Let me see. I'm just going to take a look. Oh, yeah. That's right. That was originally when we were setting it up, that was part of the whole, hey, let's set it up this way. And I forgot to update it. So this dot set state, current view, right? Awesome. Thanks for, all right, completed. Ah, sweet. Awesome. Thanks, Christian.
Joe, if you could hang back and help me fix mine.
No, I will. Yeah. I'll help you fix it. I'll help. Anybody who's having issues can stand back and I'll stay on. Help anyone. Awesome. Silence. I'm just going to be like you. Just be quiet. See how that feels, how odd and weird that gets. All right. So I'm going to look back on these videos and be like, yeah, we had a really great time the last class. It was fun. All right, so why don't we break out for lunch? We'll break out 10 minutes early. Come back at 2:30, and we'll finish the deletes. We'll go back with your group to figure out exactly what you're going to do, and then you'll meet with your squad leads to just get that, approval. Okay? 2:30. Who's ever having an issue, stick around, and I will help. So I'm going to stop sharing, Aaron. Why don't you share your screen and let's walk through the issues. All right, this dot props handle check is not a function. So if we go back to our logic before, what were the two things that I said? If you get that error message, what are the two things I would investigate first?
I've been trying to hang on, so I'm sure there's stuff I missed.
Okay, so let's do this. Go to the handle. What's the method again? Handle create task. What is it?
That one is handle check.
Check is not a function, and that's coming from what method? Task. Go into task. Right? Now in here, maybe inside, I want you to put a comment between line 3 and 4. Right, that's good, right? Inside the render. Put a comment.
Like just comment something out, or?
No, just put 2 backslashes. Okay, go back to the error. I want you to copy just where it says this dot props dot is not a function. I just want you to copy the little text that says this dot props is not a function. That's it. Create an error using that damn debugger.
I don't know how to get rid of it, Joe. I have no idea where it came from.
Now, I'm going to show you where the debuggers can be turned on accidentally, which is where I think you did. So just X out of developer tools, because debugger will always run while you're in developer tools. If the debugger's turned on, there. Just copy the text in red at the top where it says type error. Copy that.
The whole thing, or just where I'm at?
Just that. Now go back to the task list, the task thing. Go back. Paste it there. Go to the next line. Not in return. At the end of that, hit a return. Now put another comment. Okay. Let's at least record for this time in case this happens again. We're going to say that if that error happens, it's either going to be I mistyped handle check or this function hasn't been passed down. Those are the two things. However you want to write it down, I want you to record it. What I just said. If that error happens again, it's going to be the direct result of either mistyping, that the function name that you passed down isn't the function name that you just typed, it's just a syntax error, or you never passed down that function. Okay? I just want it to be something you can go back to and look at, right? If it's the second time the error happens, it's a good chance it'll probably happen again, and capturing the errors is important.
Huh.
If that error happens, direct result is syntax error never happens. Okay, good. I just want to be that. So let's go with the first one. Is it a syntax error? I just want to kind of know. Is it a syntax error? This dot props dot handle check, right? So I'm going to take a look and see what I have. I want to confirm too, right? You're in task, right? You're in task, okay. It is handle check. That looks pretty good, handle check. Now go to task list. Handle check This.props.handle check. Looks pretty good. Go to app. All right. Go all the way down into render where we're actually passing it down. All right, stop.
I don't think I put it down.
Did you?
I don't think I did.
Not to the form. It's not going to the form, Aaron. Where is it going?
Task list.
Yes, you didn't pass it down. Once again, we're just following. Look at the syntax. By following the syntax error, or where we think the syntax problem might be, we came to the conclusion that we never passed the thing down in the first place. Right?
I think.
Okay, it's still erroring out. This.props.handle check is not a function. Right. Why would that happen again? All right, go back to your files. I just want to make sure you saved everything too. Did you save that?
I definitely saved.
This.handle check is not a function, right?
Is it? It's not
All
statement.
right, go back up. Did you bind it?
I'm pretty sure I did. Right here.
Yeah. So this.handle check bind this. Okay, so that's kind of crazy.
It's been the story of this last 2 days. This has been my day.
Okay. All right. So let's see. And you sure all the files are saved, right? Everything is saved. So everything is good.
Usually there'd be a blue file, a blue dot.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go. Let's do this. Because I don't know. It says handle check. Everything looks good there. Go to the method name. Go to the actual method. Collapse your methods too. You got so many. Just collapse them. Click on the little arrow to do that.
It just confuses the hell out of me when I do that because then I can't figure. I don't know. It messes with my head.
Okay. So handle check looks pretty good. Like the method itself, the name convention is good. So I'm kind of stumped as to why it doesn't see it as a method. What we can do is we can test this along the way. So what we can do is this. Go into task list. Now in here, we can test running that method even if we don't pass anything to it. Okay? So maybe in task list, no. All right. I'm just thinking, could we call it here? Oh, wait a second. Oh, I see. I see. You know what I see?
I don't know what you see.
I see. I think this is it. I think this might be it.
I hope it is.
Actually, I don't know if it is it, but I know something's missing. You see how line 14, 15, and 16?
Uh-huh.
All right. Look at line 11. What do you see on line 11?
The word task.
Okay, look at line 24. What do you see on line 24?
The word task.
Okay, what does that tell you? Why would you see the task component referenced twice here?
Oh, okay, so one's got to be different.
All right, one task, one of these sections, there's conditional rendering here that's saying, if the thing belongs to the to-do list, render this task with this information. If the thing belongs to the completed task list, render the task with this information. What I want you to do is copy lines 14 to 16. Copy that and then put it on, go there, hit enter and paste it. Change line 29 to be, instead of to-do tasks, completed tasks. Not with an uppercase, it's a lowercase. I think it's completed tasks. Let me just make sure. That is completed tasks and to-do tasks. All right, save that and let's see. I just want to see if that fixes it. I don't know.
No error.
No error. All right. Let me see your debugger here.
Plenty of errors.
Fail to load resource on. So this is error from handle check, unexpected token JSON. All right, so what's happening here is clear out the errors. Click on the little circle, get rid of the errors. Do it one more time. Like refresh the page. All right, stop. Why does that always happen?
I would love to know. I really would.
You know, I think, hold on a second. Part of me wants to resolve that thing like ASAP. I think we can resolve it. Let me just.
You see that there's like something that says Grammarly.js. I'm wondering if that's like a syntax checker that you installed that's inserting itself into every project you do. I don't think I see that on mine. No, so like that
has nothing to do with coding. That's a thing like to check grammar when you're like typing out like on anything. Like I'm just.
Have you ever noticed that? Like, yeah, when you do.
Never mind then.
I put that in because my grammar sucks.
Yeah, let me see. I'm just trying to figure out grouping.
I can't imagine that would cause a debugger.
Aaron, can you pull up your app.js real quick? On line 56.
Uh-huh.
I believe it's backslash tasks.
Tasks, Aaron, tasks.
I swear,
Look at you go, Lauren. Look at you go.
Well, I had the same error, but for me it was a comma that was missing, so I.
Now it's not supposed to work from here, right, Joe? On this.
No, it should work. Well, we implemented everything. Go to the console to see if you're seeing any errors. No.
All right. If we go to completed, why do they all go though?
Do it again?
I don't know why it hates me. Now
refresh the page. Refresh. Go back to a now. Now click on one.
Nothing.
That tells me if it's not clicking, right?
Uh-huh.
If things aren't clicking, but you're not getting any error messages, then I'm almost thinking like they don't have the click associated with them. That's the only thing. Can you go into the completed, go up top. No, get out of there. Go back to the app.
This is that.
The actual clickable app. Yeah, go in there. Can you click on those either? Yeah, so you can. So completed you can click on. And does completed move it to to-dos? Are they there?
Yep.
Okay, can you click on those and move them back? They don't work, right? All right, so that just means, let's go back to the task list and take a look. That tells me it's in, task. So here. So that tells me maybe there's something here. Yes, Aaron, yes. Lauren, do you see it?
I do. So Aaron, on line 12, that first I there, that's the beginning of your square box tag. But on line 15, wait a minute.
No, you got it, Lauren. You're right.
But no, well, he's got the same. Okay, on line 15 is the beginning of the second icon, and there is no click event associated with it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
No, to Aaron, not to you, Jeff.
Oh, Aaron. It's all about Aaron now.
And do you understand? Do you see the...
I see there's no click event. I didn't realize we did that. See, this is what I'm telling you. I got lost. Somewhere in this lecture, you lost me. I missed steps.
Okay. So copy line 13. Copy that whole line to copy that. The whole thing. Copy and paste it on line 16.
Why does it do multiple?
There's something else going on, Waggy.
Just put me out to pasture, man.
Now just go to completed and see. Can you uncheck? There you go. Go to do. Yeah. I think you might have this one of the same things that might have happened. Go into app and go back
to the task list because we have to edit that. What you copied is specific to one.
No, we made sure the change was there. Yeah.
Go back to task.
That we don't have to worry about. It's the same function.
No, there's no after index. Wait a minute.
Leave it to me to for everybody.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, they're identical here, Lauren. Both methods here are identical.
No, he has this dot props dot current array as opposed to just the array name.
No, but this dot props dot current array is going to be passed down from task list.
No, aren't we calling the function? So we have handle check, and then we open the parentheses and we put the 3 parameters that we need.
Yep.
The third parameter is the name of the array.
Yes.
So it should not say this dot props dot current array. It should either say to do tasks or completed tasks.
All right, go up to task list, Aaron. I want to just now look here, Lauren. Look at line 16 and line 29. We are doing exactly what you're suggesting. Current array in either one of those tasks will be set to do task or completed tasks. So it really is doing everything that you just suggested. We're just passing them down as props now instead of hard coding it in the app. So, don't know why. It's really weird. Go back to the app. I just want to see the functionality again and see what's happening. Refresh. All right. Complete unit. It gets rid of a bunch of them. Right? And then nothing happens when you check on them. They're just there. But if you go to completed, yeah, like you do that, and then it shows 2 of those things. It's really weird, right?
The functionality is all types of screwed up.
It is. Can you add a to-do? Can we just test it with one new to-do? All right. Check that. Did it go to completed?
No, look what it did.
You're duplicating stuff. What I think is happening is somewhere where you're creating the thing, you're pushing it into the array twice, right? Just test it one more time. Confirm my thing. Do another one. Make it good. Yeah. All right. All right. So there, we only have one version of it, right?
Uh-huh.
Click on the box, and now you have 2 versions of it.
But then it like gets rid of everything somehow. I don't know. I don't get it.
I'm gonna push up my solution. Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so I don't take up everybody's time. I'll just wait till the end.
Okay.
I'm gonna push. Aaron, can we look at one more thing?
Go for it.
Copies his solution. Pull up your app.js and let's look at your handle create task.
Where is it? Hold on. Gotta find it.
Okay. I get. Okay. I pushed up the solution, Aaron.
Okay.
So when you're ready, you just take a look at it. I'm going to go get something to eat.
Go for it, Joe. Thanks.
I'm hungry.
Me too.
All right.
No.